p.m. tonight, exclusively on The Fan
Upstate
and on the Odyssey app. TheFanUpstate.com.
Now, 800-785.
Upstate.
WYRD Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville. The official sports voice of you, the Upstate Fan. The Fan.
Upstate.
An Odyssey sports station. Warning.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get Rob.
Only on
The Fan. Upstate.
Tis a good morning indeed. It is NFL Christmas morning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is NFL Draft Day, my dudes and my dudettes. It is not officially the first day of the NFL New Year, because the first day of the NFL New Year is like a couple of weeks ago. But it's the first day of the fans' New Year, right? Like, this is the first day that for us as NFL fans, it feels like we're done celebrating Philadelphia. It feels like we're done talking about the Super Bowl. It feels like the 2024 season is officially concluded, and it is on to bigger and better and new, ladies and gentlemen. And we are thrilled to have you guys along for the ride as we are set for 4-hour sports talks, fun, and shenanigans. I am Rob Brown. One more day at the Casa de Love. One more day coming to you live from the Bro Cave this AM, as I found out yesterday that the thing that I brought my car into the shop for turns out not the only thing wrong with the car. So that's unfortunate, but it does mean the car had to stay in the shop one more day, which means one more day here. But tomorrow morning, I have been assured, tomorrow morning, back to normal, I'll be back in the network studio. However, working from home, courtesy of technology and the internet in the year of 2025 means we're good. We're good. We got 4 hours coming your way back at the Radio Ranch, the men in charge of this and every radio program you've ever heard, listened to, and at least slightly enjoyed. The BMOC, the Alpha and the Omega of the Fan Upstate, the content cash cow, Colonel Grudge himself, the great one Lonzo, at the controls this AM. Zoe, happy draft day.
Happy draft day, Rob. I just want to, I'm not trying to be that guy, but if your car's ready tomorrow, how are you going to be here tomorrow?
Well, it'll be ready today. I'll have it tomorrow.
Okay.
That's fair. If there is one thing that I do, it is hold semantics against everyone that I talk to. So it is only.
Wow. And then he's gone because he probably hit the power button. So I'm going to talk just a few seconds before I hit the music while he figures out that he just killed his feed. That's one of the problems with someone being at home. But I love the picture that's stuck on the stream. By the way, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and X. Check out the screen where the Undertaker there is just stuck. Hopefully he realizes that he is gone. And I don't know that he does. So we will quickly play some music while I try to figure out how to get a hold of him. All right. As Rob said, I am looking forward to the draft. He is presently working on getting back into the studio. He says that there was a power surge. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and talk about the draft tonight. I just want to say that I am very excited to see what the Carolina Panthers are going to do tonight. And if they're indeed going to be trades, there are rumors all over the place that the Cleveland Browns are going to trade out of 2. And I don't believe that. I believe they're going to go ahead and take Travis Hunter. I heard on the previous show, on the Pat Boyle show, what he thinks they're going to do. He thinks they're going to trade to Dallas and get another pick. And if they get another pick, then they would have, I think, 6-12 or something like that. And if they were able to do that, then they could probably get Travis Hunter and also Shador Sanders, which they should go ahead and do. That would be exciting for Cleveland. My best friend in the entire world, still back in Ohio, big Cleveland Browns fan, always excited around this time of year and then immediately depressed. And I know there are certain fan bases where that happens. As someone who's also a Carolina Panthers fan, I could say that I'm not in that situation because the Panthers historically have done pretty well. Maybe not so much lately, but since the beginning of the franchise, they have drafted pretty well. I mean, think of some of the other draft picks that they've had, like Luke Kuechly. I mean, what a draft pick that was. And they could go any direction. I'm going to stick with what I said yesterday and go with that. I believe that that Ashton Janty's going to drop there, and we're going to take him. I see Rob Brown is back.
You know,
it looked like you put your hands down hard, and it looked like you hit the power button. That's what it looked like.
If I hit the power button, I somehow Bruce Bannered the power button and shut off power to the neighborhood because, buddy, when I tell you it just went dark in this house, I mean like the abyss dark. I mean like Twilight Zone in the Marianas Trench dark in this house just mere seconds ago. So I do apologize for that spectacular timing, ladies and gentlemen, but
if people were watching the stream, you had the Undertaker look. It went dark. Your eyes were rolled back in your head. It was pretty awesome.
Nice.
It was
nice. Well, just outstanding timing. Let's go ahead and hope that doesn't happen again because that was the only word I can come up with is infuriating. I'm relatively sure I just woke up the wife screaming, "Yo, what the F," when it happened, and I did make sure that I was off the air before I did, Lonzo, just so we're clear. But 100% when I realized that everything was completely dark in this house, I may have muttered an obscenity or 3 while I was waiting for the whole thing to come back together. So
I will say, on my drive in, I did notice a lot of lightning in the area, so that's probably what got you.
There's none here. It's not raining. There's no lightning. I don't know what it was. I am going to say, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tell the story that I told you, Great One, yesterday. Part of the reason that the car is in the shop is because about 4 weeks ago, I was driving home from the office and I watched a squirrel run across the road and it tried to jump in front of a big truck. Right? Like a big F-150, F-250, like a big truck. And this squirrel completely mistimed its jump. And it took an absolute header into the side of this truck. And it was concussed. It wasn't dead. It didn't get run over. Like it battering rammed skull into the side of the truck like it was trying to tackle it. Battering rammed this truck. And I was watching this happen from the other side of the road from a red light. And I watched this squirrel take a header into the door of this truck and then bounce off of it back into the turn lane. It was on Haywood Road, bounce back into the middle turn lane. And as I'm watching it, I realized I was like, oh, well, that squirrel's cooked. And then I realized it was not, but it was very clearly very concussed, right? And it's just laying in the turn lane, and the poor thing's like picking its head up and trying to look around, and it would pick its head up and look around, and then its head would go back down, and then it would like try to stand up, couldn't do it, fall back down. And I'm like, all right, as much as it's just a squirrel, like I got to give this little dude a chance, right? I got to give this little dude a shot. I got to give him his best chance to try to make it. So I pulled my car off to the side of the road. I took an old t-shirt. I went across and I picked the squirrel up. And this is where my brain shut off because the thought that I had in that moment was that you know what? I got my dog stuff in the car. I got a little water bowl. I got a bottle of water. I'm going to bring homeboy. I'm just going to set him on the front seat of the truck. And I'll give him a little cap of water, right? Let him have some water. Let him hydrate up. Let him get his senses about him before I release him back into nature. What can I say? I'm a bleeding heart conservationist, okay? So I grab this squirrel who just lets me pick him up. I bring him to the front seat of the car, got him wrapped up. I give him a little water. He takes a couple of sips, and then he finally starts to get his wits about him, right? Like he starts to kind of look around. He's keeping his head up. He's looking around, whatever. Everything's going great. And so all the doors to the truck are open. I'm kind of pulled off into a neighborhood. All the doors in the truck are open. And I unwrap the t-shirt that I got him wrapped in here. And what does this little S of a B do? Instead of, jumping out into nature where squirrels go, this little dude scurries off the front seat across the floorboard of where the passenger sits and weasels his little way up into the engine compartment from underneath the dashboard. Okay. I can't see him. I can't get him out. He's just a part of my car now. And I'm like, okay. So I wait 4 or 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, trying to give him time to come back out. And he doesn't. So I get to the point where I'm like, well, hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully he came out through the engine well. We went down through the compartment and he weaseled out of the front. And now he's gone. I never saw him, but I'm like, all right, that must be it. And if not, then I'll just drive home. I'll leave all my doors open and I'll give him time. He'll come out eventually. So I drove home and I left the car completely open for over 6 hours. I just hung out in my kitchen so I could see the car, but I left the 2 front doors open, the 2 rear doors open, and the back hatch open to the car. And so I just left it. And I figured he'll come out eventually. Well, again, didn't have time to just stare at the car and make sure, but I figured 6.5 hours, plenty of time for a little dude to get his wits about him and to go, hey, I'd rather be in a tree than inside of this Ford truck, I think. So I started driving around, thought it was all good. About a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, the wife gets in the car and she goes, what in the blue hell is that smell? The squirrel has very clearly died somewhere in the car, and I can't find him. Can't find him up in the engine compartment. Can't find him anywhere in the car. Can't find him in the cabin. Can't find this damn dead squirrel anywhere. So I had to bring the car into the shop for something else. I had a mechanical issue going on that I needed fixed. So I bring it in and I tell the guys, I'm like, hey, look, the squirrel died in my car and it stinks real bad. And I hate to do this. And it's okay if you have to charge me $1,000 for it, but y'all got to find that squirrel. Y'all got to get him out of my car. Like, clearly he died in here. Y'all got to get him out of the rig. And they're like, well, that's gross and bad, but we'll get it done. So I brought the car in for the mechanical issue. Well, on the drive yesterday over to the dealership to get it fixed, I had a tire blow out. I mean, just explode. No rhyme, no reason. Didn't hit a curb. Didn't hit. Not that I know I picked up a nail or anything. It just, Lonzo, it sounded like a pistol. Bang, went off in my cabin. I mean,
squirrel ghost. The squirrel ghost gotcha.
Dude, I don't know. I guess what I know is there was a pop in my car that I think reasonably presumed to be a gunshot going off. Turned out my back rear tire exploded. Well, I pulled over on the side of the road. I opened up the trunk because that's where the spare tire is, right? And I lifted up the little false floor in the bed of the truck to get to the spare tire. And what did I find? Just the emulsified, half mummified, slightly oozing body of a dead squirrel laid right up on top of my spare tire. He just cuddled up in that spare tire well and bleeping died. That's where he was. That's where he's been the whole time. Got him up out of there in what was one of the grossest things I've ever had to do in my entire life. Changed the tire, dropped it off at the shop. the guy who works there, he texted me. I dropped it off the night before yesterday at about the middle of the day. He texted me and he goes, okay, do you want the good news? Do you want the bad news? I said, good news. He goes, good news is I got another tire. You're good there. I said, cool. He goes, good news is I got the parts ordered for the door. Now you got two options here. He said, you can come pick up your car and you can drop it off to us later this week, either tomorrow or Friday, and we can get it fixed, or you can leave it here. And I said, I'll leave it there. And he goes, okay, bad news. And I said, what's the bad news? And he said, your car reeks. We are going to have to like fumigate your car to get it to where it doesn't smell bad enough. We can bring it into the shop. That's what I lived with. Dude, it was disgusting. So here's what I am, the assumption that I'm working under, great one, after a power surge to the house to start our show this morning. The assumption I am currently working on is that I am under attack from some sort of squirrel army based on the fact that I kidnapped and then effectively murdered one of their own. All right. Tried to do a good deed for Mother Nature, tried to do a good deed for Gaia, tried to do a good deed for the outside world. And wouldn't you know it, I end up kidnapping, murdering one of the squirrels. And now I have to assume that outside there are like 7 to 12 squirrels angry who know the truth. They are now squirrel death truthers. And they are outside actively working to chew through the power and internet cables to my house. So if anything happens tomorrow or the rest of this show, please know the squirrels did it. That's the conspiracy theory now. Unbelievable.
I've been talking about them squirrels for years. Ninja squirrels around my house are they're you got to watch out for them. Here's the thing, though. You interrupted the circle of life. I mean, sometimes things need to go the way they go. And your as you call bleeding heart got in the way, and now you see what it got you. So next time, let nature take its curse.
Here's
of
the
course,
thing. I am fine with that. The whole nature is metal thing, I get it. It's a terrifying thing. Nature, it is ruthless. It is uncompassionate. It is uncaring. It is cold. I get it. A squirrel taking a header into the side of an F-250 is not nature's way. All right. Squirrels didn't evolve in a world where they had to worry about taking a battering ram skull shot to the side of a 2,750 pound truck. I just wanted to give.
Dude, I've seen squirrels run into the side of a tree before. You're giving them way too much credit. You know the size of their brains? Come on.
Listen, I felt bad for my dude.
Call me heartless if you want. I mean, it's a squirrel.
I felt bad for my dude. I just wanted to give him a shot. That's all. Again, call me a bleeding heart. But
now you're stinky car Rob whenever you try to bring your vehicle.
Yeah, I am. That sucks, dude. That sucks so bad. 100%. I've got a nickname in that shop now. 1,000%. My car is written up, and in that shop, there's a ticket that says Squirrel Boy across the top of it or something real dumb, and I'm not happy about it. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a show lined up for you today. 8 o'clock, Lulu Kesson is going to come by. We are going to touch on the South Carolina baseball team. We're also going to check in on the women's basketball side as they try to get it right, get back to the national championship next year. We know Malaysia Fulwiley is out. They have also added now 3 big name transfer portal players. We'll talk to Lulu Kesson at 8 o'clock. At 8:40, Rashad Beard going to stop by live on the stream. We'll talk a little Carolina Panther draft strategy with Rashad Beard, see how he's feeling about the Cats with their 8 overall pick today. At 9 o'clock, Hayden Asmario coming by. We'll get his overall thoughts on the NFL draft today. And at 9:20, Fight Club. I can't yell yet. The wife's still over there in bed. Fight Club at 9:20 with the great one, Lonzo, where we will finish up our WrestleMania thoughts and check in on what was a very eventful Monday Night Raw. The rest of the show from here to there, whatever you want to get to. If you have draft thoughts, questions, or opinions, I want them. 3 NBA playoff games last night. We're going to talk about those. 3 NHL playoff games. We're going to talk about those. The Braves back on the right side of things. 11 hits last night for the offense. Kind of feels like Braves ball again. All that and more coming up on 4 hours of excellence. The Rob Brown Show is on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
Hey, what's up? This is WWE Superstar R-Truth, and you're listening to your home for pro wrestling talk in the Upstate, the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. That's what's up.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you about our friends at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in non-surgical regenerative therapy for joint pain. If you are dealing with joint pain, there is a reason for that. Inside of all of your joints, that's the bendy parts of your body, your fingers, your toes, your elbows, your knees, your lower back, all of it. Everywhere that you bend, twist, and rotate. When you're young, there's connective tissue in there. It acts like a little pillow between your bones. It keeps your bones from rubbing against each other. Your bones rubbing against each other causes inflammation. That's what causes that joint pain. Well, QC Kinetics understands the process by which your body regenerates that connective tissue. And QC Kinetics is able to act as a catalyst, a kickstarter, a jump start for your body. It starts to reproduce after QC Kinetics therapy. That regenerative reconnective tissue comes back, and wouldn't you know it, just like that, the bone-on-bone contact goes away, the inflammation goes away, and because of that, the joint pain goes away. You get your life back. You can go back to doing all the things that you want to do without the fear of joint pain and without the impact that joint pain has on your life. And it is really simple. All you have to do is go to their website, qckinetics.com, qckinetix.com, qckinetics.com, or give them a call right now at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. You mentioned the Rob Brown Show. You tell them Rob Brown sent you, and you, my dear friends, will get a free consultation. Let QC Kinetics help you feel better without drugs, anesthesia, surgery, physical therapy, or downtime. It's one phone call, and you're back at it. Give them a call right now. Tell them Rob Brown sent you. It's our friends in Greenville and Asheville at QC Kinetics.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center, here's the Carolinas' most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. Showers and thunderstorms likely today, mostly cloudy with our high near in 73. Showers and thunderstorms continue.
Do we have a backup plan in case stream to stream doesn't work?
Steal my wife's car and drive there?
So you don't have that thing plugged in that you're supposed to?
I don't have my Comrex. They took my Comrex back for something. And I just realized that. That's the first time I've thought about that since then.
When Chris gets here, I'll talk to him, but I'm a little concerned about that.
I mean, we should be fine. That was such a random surge.
No, that's not
fine to be concerned about it and worried about it. You're absolutely right.
No. I think you're not thinking about it. I know we're doing this but we have no choice. In order for them to hear, utility has to be fed. If utility is fed, then you're going to get feedback.
Okay, I'm going to tell Rashad and Mario we got to do it on the phone. Oh wait, are we good on the phone?
Should be.
Okay, I'm just going to tell.
Even if we run into the problem we did before, now I know how to do it. I'm still blaming someone else on that, but still, when Chris gets here, I mean, we got time. First interview is not till 8:40. So when Chris gets here, I'll talk to him.
Okay.
See if we can come up with another solution. Okay. But I'm pretty sure that's going to be a problem.
Okay. I mean, if we got to do them on the phone, we got to do them on the phone. That's fine. We'd be able to do them on the phone. Well, correctly, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
people who don't know ball and then go in there and start going, that's rigged. They made the... No, they didn't. It's not rigged. You just don't know ball, brother. It really is that simple.
Don't hit snooze. Hit play. The Rob Brown Show. Now morning 6 to 10 on The Fan.
The Fan Upstate.
Text or call. One number does it all. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is The Rod Brown Show on The Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is The Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo. We are going to have a lot of NFL draft talk today. I was watching the ESPN did earlier this morning a roundtable reporter draft where they effectively asked the lead beat reporter of every one of their NFL teams, or every one of, I guess I should say, the NFL teams, to put together their pick, and basically allowed the beat reporters to cover to act as GM for their respective teams that they cover, obviously. And so they dropped their first round mock yesterday. They made a big TV deal of it today. And listen, I mean, I think at the end of the day, the beat reporters are, if we're going to do a mock draft that does not involve trades, obviously, the beat reporters are probably a source that I would be willing to say, all right, there might be some levity to this. There might be some level of accuracy because these guys theoretically should, although I think there are some of them big eyebrow raised to one in particular. And if you follow them, you know exactly who I'm talking about. But there are some that maybe aren't quite as good as others, but by and large, the beat reporters should, you would think, have the best insight as to what their respective NFL teams are going to do. So I wanted to give you what the mock guys on ESPN are saying right now. Here's how theirs shaped out. I want to go through these. We won't spend a ton of time on all of them. Great one, but I am curious as to see if there are any spots on this mock list that you think somebody got a little bit out of line. Here's how they had it shaped up. They got Cam Ward going to Tennessee, number 1. No big shock there. They got Travis Hunter going number 2 to the New York Giants. Again, no real shock there. Again, I think that there is a chance that the Giants could shock somebody and go ahead and take a quarterback. But Abdul Carter going to the Giants does feel like the right pick. New England Patriots at number 4, Will Campbell, offensive lineman, LSU. That's who I slated them in there. They also, and this is the first one where I'm like, maybe I'm outside of the loop here. Maybe I misevaluated here. They've got Ashton Janty going 5.
By the way, really quick, you skipped Cleveland and you went to New York and had them too. And...
Oh, I thought I said Travis Hunter in passing. I thought I said Travis Hunter to
Oh,
Cleveland.
no, you said Travis Hunter to the Giants.
Oh, that's my bad. Okay, so Tennessee, Cam Ward, Cleveland, Travis Hunter at 2, Abdul Carter 3 to the Giants, Will Campbell 4 to the Patriots, Ashton Janty 5th to the Jags. So this one I'm kind of interested in, and we talked a little bit about this one yesterday. Ashton Janty to the Jags, I find interesting for a couple of reasons. They've got ETN, Trevor's running buddy from Clemson. They've got Tank Bigsby that they brought in not terribly long ago. Yes, I mean, I guess we're looking at this as you're getting a guy who is considered by many to be a generational running back out of this draft. Lonzo, you have been lobbying for the past couple of days if Ashton Janty was to fall to 8. And I don't think there's a chance he does, but if he was to fall to 8 for Carolina to take him instead of an edge rusher there. And I'm not even against the idea. I still think edge rusher is more important, but I'm not against the pick there. I just find it interesting with Jacksonville, but maybe this says more. Maybe it says that the NFL circles are even more in on Ashton Janty than we think they are, because Liam Cohen with Jacksonville, supposed to be an offensive guru. We'll find out if he is. He did step in there at Tampa Bay and was kind of able to keep the momentum going that now Carolina Panther head coach Dave Canales had going for Baker Mayfield and the Bucs when he left to head to Charlotte, North Carolina. Liam Cohen is supposed to be of that same vein. He is in the Sean McVay coaching tree, supposed to be in that same young prodigal style of offensive mastermind. If they genuinely and truly feel as if they genuinely and truly feel as if Ashton Janty is that much of a piece that they are going to get him at 5 and they're going to sacrifice upgrading an offensive line in front of Trevor Lawrence, does that say more about Jacksonville leadership, or does that say more about how good they think this kid is going to be?
Every once in a while, there's a running back that gets the kind of talk that Janty's getting. That's not for, that's for obvious reasons. And some people saying, you can't draft a running back in the first round. You can if they're really good. You absolutely can. And he seems to be really good. So I don't think it's a stretch at all. I still think if it's best available and you get to that point and you do kind of have a need, you're going to take them. So I still,
though. I mean, I'm not saying it's not.
If you want an offensive lineman, you can get that in the second or third round.
I don't disagree with that either, but my whole thought for Jacksonville here is, and I will acknowledge that perhaps, and I think this is something that all of us do as much, and I try my best not to, but it's kind of the way the game gets played. There is a part of me that wonders, okay, am I maybe doing this because I am pulling for Trevor Lawrence to succeed? And to me, as good as Ashton Janty can be, just like any other player, he also could be a bust. And so could any offensive lineman they pick up. But the Jags picking up an offensive lineman in the second, third, fourth round is not the same as the Jags picking up one of the good offensive line. Armand Membu out of Missouri. I like this kid quite a bit. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to say big drop, but there's a decent sized drop off from those first couple of offensive linemen, Will Campbell, Armand Membu, down to even the offensive lineman coming off the board in the first round, Tyler Booker from Alabama, Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. Those are the next two projected offensive linemen off the board. And to be honest with you, there may not be another offensive lineman that comes off the board in the first. Now, the mock guys do have one more offensive lineman coming off the board, but the drop from Membu and Campbell all the way down to Booker and Zabel is a step back. And then the step back from those two guys to the next group of offensive linemen is an even bigger step back. To me, I want to give Trevor Lawrence the best opportunity to prove he is or he ain't the guy. And I don't know. I mean, I guess Ashton Janty does that, in that you really have to play the run defensively when you're playing Jacksonville now. But I don't know how much Ashton Janty adds to allow Trevor Lawrence to thrive. And as much as you got to have a good run game in the NFL, it's a quarterback league. We all know that. That's just the vernacular now, because it is true. So that pick's a little interesting to me. Tell you what we'll do. Let's take a break. That's the top 5. They got Cam Ward to Tennessee, Travis Hunter to Cleveland, Abdul Carter to the Giants, Will Campbell to the Patriots, and Ashton Janty to the Jags. When we come back, got a longer segment. Let's go through the rest of the first round. We'll tell you where the Carolina Panthers have selected according to their mock team, the Atlanta Falcons, where Shedeur Sanders falls to, and more. That's coming up as we talk NFL Draft this AM on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
The Rich Eisen Show, today at noon, only on the Fan Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash presented by Progressive.
The Braves beat the Cardinals 4-1 in Atlanta. The Braves are 8-3 at home, 10-14 overall. Eli White's 3-run.
guess what? No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how...
Just fill your legacy box with old tapes, film reels, and photos. We'll digitize them by hand and return everything, plus digital copies on the cloud you can relive and share forever.
With Legacy Box, your memories are safe from tariffs and safe from time. Heat, humidity, and age are already destroying your family's history, so take advantage of our limited time $9 tape sale.
Visit legacybox.com/value to lock in savings today. That's legacybox.com/value. Legacy Box, American made, trusted by families.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, The Fan.
The Fan. Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live on the Free Odyssey app. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. No need to check the clock. It's Rob Brown time. Now, weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on The Fan Upstate.
Got a comment on the Instagram live feed at the Rob Brown Show. If you want to toss me a follow over on the gram, you are welcome to do so. Chase Hawkins sent a message on the Instagram feed. He said, what if the Titans don't go quarterback at number 1? Now, I am willing to entertain for the sake of the conversation. I'm going to tell you they are. It would be one of the biggest draft shocks in recent memory if the Titans do not go with Cam Ward at number 1. And I'm not basing that on just like the belief that that is the case. I'm basing that on Las Vegas draft odds. They've got Cam Ward at like minus 50,000 the last I checked, which is, I mean, that is all but a guarantee at this point that they're good. That is somebody in Vegas has found out that Tennessee has just straight up said, we're going Cam Ward. I would be stunned if they go anywhere else, because here is the deal. As much as I have said a number of times that I think Will Levis has shown enough flashes that I think he can be a good NFL quarterback. I just think it's going to take pairing him up with the right QB coach, with the right head coach, and it's going to take a little bit of time and polish, because how many times have I said, I think a lot of quarterbacks that are considered bust out of the gate, I think we don't put enough blame on the franchise, honestly. Like and again, it might turn out that I'm completely wrong about this, but Bryce Young to me is the example of that. My man spent a year and another half a year toiling away for a Carolina Panther franchise that I sat here and tried to tell you the franchise is bad, guys. Like, I know we want to blame it on the quarterback, and I know you all want him to step in and be an auto Pro Bowler because he's a number 1 overall pick, and that's all well and good, but the franchise is bad. And at the end of the day, even the best employees are going to struggle when they are being asked to deal with a toxic workplace. And that is part of what we are dealing with here. Now, that being said, even if I believe Will Levis can be a good quarterback, and even if I believe it is the Titans, not Will Levis, that are the problem, and I think those are fair beliefs to have, even if I believe those things are true, and I do, the reality of the situation is that Cam Ward's a better quarterback. Like, Cam Ward's just a better all-around quarterback than Will Levis. I'm not saying that I think Cam Ward is on his way to Canton. I'm saying I think he's a better all-around quarterback, and I think if you are Tennessee, and you've got your new coach and you've got your new setup and you believe that you've got the weapons, and it's really not as bad of a roster as it might feel like it is in Tennessee. But if you feel like you've got everything set up for success and you are indeed a quarterback away, you have to go with Cam Ward. He's just got a better future ahead of him than Will Levis, even if I think Will Levis can actually be a decent NFL quarterback. So, I don't think there's a shot. Now, if they do not go Cam Ward with the number 1 overall spot, Tennessee's a team that's got plenty of needs too. And the reality here is,
what about trading out? I mean, if they're not going to, they could get some stuff if they trade out.
They could. And that is that to me, there were only 2 options for Tennessee, which is Cam Ward or trade back. Like, I don't think there's a point. I mean, Abdul Carter, I think Abdul Carter is the one guy that I would say that is the best chance. I'm not putting the old Rob Brown superstar stamp on him. The last 2 players that I put the Rob Brown can't miss certified superstar stamp of approval on were Jaden Daniels out of LSU and Lamar Jackson out of Louisville. Those are the last 2 players that I've said that guy you can't miss with him. This guy's a guaranteed NFL Pro Bowler repeatedly. Nailed it. I'm not putting that on Cam Ward yet. I'm not saying he can't be that. I'm saying I'm not calling that he is. I would rather be pleasantly surprised than put that on him and have him bust out and lose my really good rating when it comes to that guy's a guaranteed superstar. The closest we have to that in this draft is Abdul Carter. But the treasure trove, and I agree with you, the treasure trove that I think Tennessee could get in return for that number 1 overall pick, in return for somebody earning the right to draft Cam Ward, which is effectively what you are trading for there, I think it would be too big to pass up on, unless Cam Ward is just your guy. And I think if you're Tennessee, you kind of have to take the swing on getting your franchise quarterback. And if you have to take that swing, Cam Ward has to be your pick because of that. So we'll find out. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to keep our eyeballs on that as we get closer to pick number 1 going on the clock tonight at 8 p.m. Let's keep going with this beat reporter mock draft. We left off with the Jags taking Ashton Jeanty. Tennessee took Cam Ward. Cleveland taking Travis Hunter. Abdul Carter to the Giants. Will Campbell, the offensive lineman out of LSU, to the Patriots. Ashton Jeanty to the Jags. They've got Las Vegas going Armand Membu, the offensive lineman out of Mizzou. There's only 2 picks there for Las Vegas. Great one, and it is an offensive lineman or it's Shedeur Sanders. Those are the only 2 picks. Here's the interesting thing. And again, I know a lot of these mock draft experts, they kind of lean on each other and they kind of base their picks on what everybody else is picking. Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders was one I've seen a number of times. I was looking at mocks last night, taking my last little circle search before we got to tonight's draft. The overwhelming majority of them now have the Saints passing on Shedeur Sanders as well. The majority of them now have Shedeur Sanders falling all the way down to number 21 with the Steelers. And those that did not have the Steelers taking him at 21 have Shedeur Sanders completely falling out of the first round. Like a sizable, significant, recognizable number of mocks now have Shedeur Sanders falling out of the first round. Now, again, I know they all kind of base each other on each other, but what a fall that we have watched this cat take. There was a quote from was it Rossini earlier, or either last night or early this morning? She quoted an AFC assistant head coach as saying, Shedeur Sanders turned off every team, with maybe the exception of one or two, with his interviews. They said that all the talk about arrogance and entitlement, whoever, and I think it was Rossini. I'm gonna go find the tweet so I can be correct about this. But one of them quoted an anonymous assistant NFL coach as saying that Shedeur was the definition of entitled and arrogant in his meetings with NFL teams, to the point that they were all turned off by him. And then the coach went on to say that amongst the quarterback coaches in the NFL, they just feel like the guy, quote, isn't that talented, end quote. The full breakdown was very athletic, but not very talented as a quarterback, or at least not talented as a quarterback enough that they felt justified. So all of the sudden, all of this talk about Shedeur falling deep into the first round or potentially out of it entirely in the last 24 hours, it kind of started to feel like maybe it's not smokescreen. Maybe teams really are out on Shedeur Sanders at large.
See, I don't believe it. I think it's a smokescreen. Although, what if it works so effectively that assistant coach ended up being, let's say, a Cleveland Brown coach who wants them to drop to the second round since they have the first pick? I mean,
it could be. I'm not saying that it's impossible. Let's be real clear here.
You're taking a chance because you don't believe he's going to be available anyway. But if you can put something out there to cause him to drop so you can take him in the second round, why not do that, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly possible.
And when you're anonymous, no one knows who you are.
This is not me saying that. Listen, any NFL coach who is willing to give a thought to a reporter at this point in time, anybody who's willing to do that is obviously going to do it anonymously. Anybody who's willing to do that is obviously going to keep it quiet. They're not going to attach their name to that. They're going to keep that anonymous. And again, if the reporter isn't boldface making it up, which you got to be pretty stonesy to be willing to make up not just a quote, but that damning of a quote. That's a big deal there. So for me, I'm looking at this and going, maybe there is some sweat. Maybe there is some steam to this being a possibility, to this being a probability that Shedeur Sanders is going to tank. But looking at this mock draft, the Raiders, they ended up saying are going to go Armand Membu. Let's sprint through some more of these picks, and then we'll come back and we'll address what we like and what we don't. The Jets, we've been talking about them taking Tyler Warren, the tight end, out of Penn State, but their beat reporter for ESPN said they go Kelvin Banks Jr., the offensive lineman out of Texas. That feels like a bit of a reach, but the Jets do need offensive linemen, so maybe they're just looking to protect Justin Fields. And for the record, good. I actually approve of that pick quite a bit. If it's not the pick, then Tyler Warren is the pick, but that's a good one. They have Carolina at 8. Going with who I have Carolina going with at 8. That is Jalen Walker, the edge rusher out of the University of Georgia. No problem with that. It is the biggest need on this team. I agree with that take. They've got the Saints going Mason Graham, the defensive lineman out of Michigan, passing on Shedeur Sanders. Tyler Warren going to Chicago. Why? Cole Kmet's already there. Like, is Chicago just about to go old school 2 tight ends on every play? Like, why is that the move? This is where the mock kind of starts to fall apart for me. Great one, because Chicago's got 4 or 5 needs. Tight end is not one of them. They've got a dog in that spot. I have no idea, unless they just feel like Tyler Warren is without a doubt a can't-miss tight end prospect, and Cole Kmet becomes trade bait down the line. I can't see a world where Chicago goes Tyler Warren. Unless
his best available right there. And
here's the problem. I think Tyler Warren's going to be a great player at the NFL level. I don't think he's the best available player at that. I don't think he's the best available player on the board for Chicago at that point, and I don't think he's the best available player on the board that fills a need for Chicago. Like you're not clicking either one of those two boxes for me. They've got the Niners going Michael Williams out of Georgia, the edge rusher. Tate McMillan, the wide receiver, to Dallas at 12. Johnny Barron, the cornerback out of Texas, going to Miami. Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan, going to Indy. Atlanta going Mike Green, the edge rusher, from Marshall. Arizona taking Tyler Booker, the Alabama offensive lineman. They've got Cincinnati going with Donovan Ezereku, the edge rusher from Boston College. Gray Zabel, the offensive lineman of ND State, going to Seattle. Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan, going to Tampa. Luther Burden III from Mizzou, going to Denver. He's a wide receiver, going ahead of Emeka Egbuka. That's interesting. They've got Shador Sanders going to 21. And the Pittsburgh Steelers. Defensive lineman from Oregon, Derek Harmon, to the Chargers. Shamar Stewart, edge rusher from A&M, going to Green Bay. Nick Eamon-Wari, safety of South Carolina, going to Minnesota. I actually like that pick a lot. Fits in very well there. Emeka Egbuka from what? How about this, though? They got Egbuka from Ohio State going to play with C.J. Stroud with the Houston Texans at pick number 25. I kind of like that a lot.
Yeah, I kind of like that too.
Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas, to the Rams. I like that too. That's absolutely a Sean McVay pick. Malachi Stark, safety from Georgia, to Baltimore. James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher out of Tennessee, to Detroit. Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback from Kentucky, going to Washington. Buffalo taking Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman, Michigan. Kansas City taking Josh Simmons, the offensive lineman from The Ohio State University.
Yes,
and
please
the
do that.
Eagles taking Walter Nolan, the defensive lineman from Ole Miss, at 32. So another SEC D lineman heading to Philly. Nolan's an interesting pick because I have seen him as high as being picked 7th or 8th in mock drafts, and now I've seen him as low as 32. This mock draft from the beat reporters of ESPN is very interesting. There's a couple of spots that I absolutely hate, and there's a couple of spots I think are fantastic picks. So we'll do some more addressing of this mock later. I'll give you my wild picks mock later, where I think the weird stuff might happen this afternoon. I got that coming up for you later in the show, and we will flip it over to the the NBA. Jimmy Butler goes down a spill yesterday, lands right on the old coccyx, the tailbone. He may be missing some time, which is real bad for Golden State, who had him for only 8 minutes and dropped the game last night. We'll talk some NBA playoffs, some NHL playoffs, and some baseball coming up as the show rolls on. I am Rob Brown. He is the great one, Lonzo. And this, ladies and gentlemen, will be the most encapsulating 60 seconds of your morning. It's Lonzo Sports Flash.
I was encapsulated by his encapsulating opinion. Game number 2, win number 2 for the Hub City Spartanburgers over the Greenville Drive last night, finishing with the first ever walk-off win for the Burgers, 4-3. Starter Colton Curtis struck out 4 through 2, while Larson Kendrick fanned 4 of the 6 he faced to earn the win. Boston Celtics now lead the Orlando Magic 2-0 after a 109-100 win behind Jaylen Brown's 36-point, 10-rebound effort. The Celtics got 20 from Kristaps Porzingis, who added 10 boards as well, and 17 from Derek White. Cleveland Browns now have a 2-0 series lead over the Miami Heat after a 121-112 win off of a 30-point game from Donovan Mitchell. The Cavs also had 21 from Darius Garland and 30 from Evan Mobley. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show is next, right here on the Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. A crash northbound 85 before Augusta Road has traffic stalled past 185 to Highway 1.
Oh, we're back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Rob Brown Show. It is the fan upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you, 844-326-3663. That's the number to the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. 844-326-3663 is the number to be a part of the radio program this AM. We would love to have you. We are talking quite a bit of NFL draft on the radio program this morning. The big conversation so far, the fall of Shedeur Sanders is on the table. The Jacksonville Jaguars going with Ashton Janty is the conversation right now, which is a very interesting one. The Jags need an offensive lineman, I think, more than they need a new running back on the equation. But let's find out what they do as we are now inside of, what are we looking at? About 13 hours, a little less than 13 hours away, pardon me, from the I'm a professional, I swear. I don't have a mute button at home, Lonzo. I was back at working from the house. No mute
listen,
button.
I was trying to jump in, dude. All right, so I am so looking forward to this tonight. I am also curious about what coverage you're going to watch, because I mean the traditional ESPN, I went away from them a long time ago. I usually watch NFL Network, but I think McAfee's doing it too. I think, and if so, I might be watching that. I'm not sure yet.
I'm not either. I realistically, what I'll probably end up doing is I'll probably be flipping around. I will probably start flipping around. I will probably be checking out a number of different sources, mainly because to me, I like having as many voices as possible, right? Like I like having as many opinions, as many voices as I can. This is, I tried to explain to somebody yesterday that was like, I just don't get getting geeked up about the draft, not the draft in the terms of, selecting the players, not the draft in terms of, the adding people to your roster and getting excited about that, but the actual coverage, like tuning in for 2 hours to watch 32 picks late at night on a Thursday. It doesn't start till 8:00. They were like, I don't understand what it is that people get so geeked up about. And it's like, I don't really know how to explain it, because it really doesn't make a lot of sense. And here's the thing I thought about, and I actually wanted to ask you this. Let's say theoretically, great one, that the NFL decides next year that the draft is going to be right up the road in Charlotte, North Carolina. Would you go? Are you going to the draft? Like, is that an event you would want to attend? Because as much as I love the draft, and as much as I will be absolutely seated right there on that couch tonight to watch it on my TV, and I will watch it wall to wall, wire to wire, start to finish, from pick 1 to pick 32 before I call it a night and lay my beautiful little head down on the pillow to go nighty night. I really don't think I would go to the draft. I don't think it would be all that compelling.
So you've never been before, I'm guessing, since you said that. I've never been either. I think it would depend on the setup. If the press get a certain, and if we, the press, no, I don't know about standing out in the middle of a bunch of people who are hyped up on whatever they're hyped up on, because they're just there for the party. That's what they're there for. And I'm sure they're cheering for their team, but I think the realest of the real, the most psycho fans, the most fanatical fans are the ones that go to their draft, and they're just there to yell and scream and all that kind of stuff. And which is fine. I mean, if that's what you want to do, cool. But I'd be going and standing there waiting for like a couple picks, and it's not worth that, I don't think. Except for, again, it's an experience that you haven't done before. So being able to say, hey, I was there, is it worth the whatever you would consider setbacks or negative things? Is it worth the negative things to go there just to say you went?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I'm not adverse to a crowd. I might go just because it's an absolute party, but I also kind of feel like this is one of those times that it's like, yeah, I'd go if there was like a group of the guys going. Like I'll go to an NFL game by myself. I'll go to a football game, a basketball game, a baseball game by myself, whatever, and I'll have a good time and I'll be fine. The draft itself, like I feel like it would just be going to a football party. Right?
So exactly, that was exactly my point, which is why that's not my scene, So I'm probably going to say no because of that. But it also depends on mood and who's going with me.
Yeah, I think I would go because it is a party. I think I would go because it would be, I would be going the way that I would go to cover like a I don't know. Not even cover. I would, you know what it would be, Lonzo? It would be the equivalent of going to a wrestling show for me. Like, I'm going to go stand in a parking lot. I'm going to hammer down a couple of brewskis. I'm going to enjoy some music. I'm going to assume there's a bunch of live entertainment. I'm going to round up a couple of the fellas to go have a good time outside in nature while I drink a little bit. I'm going to get super excited about a couple of spots. And then I'm going to go home and be like, all right, that was fun. I don't know that it would be the equivalent of going to like a game.
Although
right?
what I've seen and what I remember, they usually have like cover bands there and stuff, playing like during in between picks and things like that. So the atmosphere is probably more of a tailgating kind of atmosphere.
That's probably fair. All right, real quick programming note. I've just gotten a text from Rashad Beard. Rashad is going to join us coming up in the final segment of this hour. So we're going to shuffle up the schedule a little bit. I've already talked to him, so we're going to do it on the phone just because of the complications of me being on the stream and having a guest on the stream. So Rashad's going to join us.
Well, I have engineering coming in here in a moment, so we might be able to fix that. But
okay,
if he's already, yeah.
If we get set up, great. If we don't, Rashad's good to go on the phone. We'll have him addressing us at 7:40 this morning to talk a little Carolina Panther draft with us. So we got that. The segment after that, 8:00 straight up, we'll have Lulu Kesson from the Greenville News join us. We'll check in on South Carolina baseball and women's basketball, as well as any spring football updates Lulu might have for us at 8. We'll have the open 8:00 hour after Lulu Kesson, 9:00 Hayden Ask Mario. We'll talk NFL draft with us. And then 9:20 Fight Club will wrap up our coverage of the NFL draft in the final segment of the show today. But ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:08 in the morning. You know what that means. Time for us to tell you what you are going to talk to us and the people in your workplace about today. It is time for us to run you through the water cooler cheat sheet.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
Most impressive.
before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go.
Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you will be discussing when you get to the office this morning after you knock out those passive aggressive emails and get your little pen cup organized the way that you want it. Make sure you got the right things pinned into the wall so that when people come by your cubicle, they go, oh, that guy's working hard today. You're not. You're just hanging in there. You're waiting the next 13 and a half hours until it's time for the National Football League draft to kick off tonight. We know, and you know that we know. That's why we give you the water cooler cheat sheet. So let us do that by jumping in with item number 1. Hey, listen, it is what it is. The NFL draft is tonight. That is water cooler cheat sheet item number 1. The Tennessee Titans will officially go on the clock just after 8:00 this evening with the first overall selection in the 2025 National Football League draft. The pick is expected to be, and the Vegas odds are way in favor of it being Cam Ward, the quarterback out of the University of Miami. After that, as Lonzo and I have both agreed to, it appears as if this might end up being one of the most compelling drafts in a very long time. Why? because almost every pick from 2 to 32 seems to be in flux. Not that we don't have a pretty good idea of where teams are going to go tonight, but because the handful of teams that we do not know where they are going tonight have such a wide range of possibilities, A, and B, because as I pointed out a couple of times this week, in my ever so humble yet frequently correct opinion, this is one of the weirdest pools of talent that we have seen in a very long time, pardon me. There are a handful, not very many, a small handful of exceptionally talented players at the top of the draft board. But once you get out of that initial top excellent phase, there is a large pool of guys that are real good players with questions about them at the next level. And there are a lot of teams that have an exceptional number of needs this year, drafting early, which of course will all impact each other as it progresses. So this draft going to be very interesting. We are obviously going to be heavy on the draft coverage for the rest of the show. No need to dwell on it here. Let's go to item number 2. 3 games in the NBA playoffs last night. The Boston Celtics now lead the series over the Orlando Magic. 109-100 was last night's score. They are up 2-0 in the series at large as their quest to defend their world championship continues. 36 points out of Jaylen Brown last night. 12 of 19 from the floor, 5 of 7 from behind the arc. They got 20 out of Kristaps Porzingis. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, 5 of 14. Was 0 of 5 from behind the arc, but knocked down 10 free throws in the contest. Also added 10 rebounds on the night as well. Porzingis actually left the game for a handful of minutes with a bloody face after taking a shot to the old cranial.
Yeah, you know what? For that, how is the player who did that to him did he remain in the game? Because, I mean, that was a hard shot.
It was a hard shot.
There's no blading going on there. That was serious. Boom, he just got bloodied. And when a player delivers a blow like that, and it's obviously, at least I thought it was obviously intentional, how did they remain in the game?
I mean, look, it looked intentional, but so basically it was a flagrant foul. Officials took a look at it, decided that he did indeed wind up before throwing the elbow. Porzingis had to go get a bandage across the center of his forehead. Flagrant moment is not something that's flagrant 2. You'll start talking about an ejection. Anything past that is a definite ejection.
How's that not a flagrant 2?
Hey, I have no idea. I have no idea. Here's what I do know.
Is this a playoff thing, you think? Where if it was regular season, it was a flagrant 2, but because it's the playoffs, it's not?
That's a possibility, honestly. That's a possibility that they don't want to have that much impact on the game, so they hit him with a flagrant 2, give him 2 shots in the ball back, and congrats, you've earned it. I mean, that is absolutely a possibility. Here's what I do know. So in the post-game presser, Porzingis was asked about it, and he said, quote, "I love my WWE moments. We're not going to let anybody punk us." Kristaps Porzingis, confirmed wrestling dude.
All right. I'm pretty sure that I saw him backstage at AEW.
You did.
Also.
And not only did you at an AEW show just outside of Boston, Don Callis referenced him by name in a promo. He said, forget Boston, forget the Celtics, forget Kristaps Porzingis. It's blah, 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 blah. And there was one spot where somebody was filming it behind the scenes and they turned it and Porzingis was laughing his ass off at getting name dropped in a promo. Kristaps Porzingis, noted real man and professional wrestling dude. You love to see it. You'll love to see it. Anyway, Porzingis had 20 on the night. The C's absolutely whip the Orlando Magic. They're up 2-0. The Cleveland Cavaliers also up 2-0 after a 121-112 win over the Miami Heat. 33 from Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero is a bleeping dude right now. Unfortunately, Cleveland also has a bleeping dude. His name is Donovan Mitchell. 30 points, 10 of 21 from the floor, 7 of 10 from behind the arc, also added 6 dimes in the effort as well. They got 21 from Garland, 20 from Evan Mobley. Here's what's real interesting. The Heat shot 52% from the floor. They shot 36% from behind the arc, and they only had 13 turnovers in this game. Like, it was a good game from the Miami Heat offensively. That was just Spida. Whenever Miami would get anything going, Spida would start to be Spida again, and Cleveland was too much to overcome for Miami. They are now up 2-0. Series tied 1-1 now between the Rockets and the Warriors, and we're going to talk about this game in a little bit more depth later in the show. 109-94, H-Town up on top of the Dubs last night. They got 38 out of Jalen Green. He is one of like 3 dudes I told you were playoff influencers coming into the 17 from Sengun, 16 from DB Dylan Brooks. The Rockets last night shot 45% from the floor, 38% from behind the arc, and limited themselves to 10 turnovers, which was a big problem the game before that. However, Jimmy Butler is the story of this game. Just 8 minutes into the contest, Jimmy Butler went up for a board, ended up getting undercut by Sengun, goes down, and buddy, when I tell you, he landed square on the tailbone. I don't know if you saw the impact between Jimmy Butler and planet Earth, Lonzo, but it hurt my butt when Jimmy Butler's butt made contact with the ground. It was a solid jolt shot, man.
The thing is, though, they showed him walking away, and he didn't. I mean, if it was really as bad as it could be, I don't think he walks away from that. Without help. It looked like he walked away without help.
I mean, listen, I have had not broken, but I've had a contusion on the old ass bone. And here's what I'm going to tell you. It doesn't render you immobile. Dude, it sucks.
All right. So I have, I fell on the steps and hit the solid part because I fell back, where the steps, and messed up my spine down there. So I absolutely know that. I now have a bulging disc in it, and the one above it is degenerative. So eventually, who knows, maybe the legs just quit working altogether. But I know the pain. And I know how you have to walk gingerly. So I should have thought about that before I said that. So maybe I get why he wouldn't be able to play.
Shout out playoff Jimmy Buckets. 8 minutes, just 3 points before he had to leave. The Warriors ended up playing 10 players off of the bench last night to try to make good on it. They did get a dozen last night out of Quentin Post, 11 out of Jonathan Kuminga, but it was not enough to overcome the loss of playoff Jimmy Butler.
So what you're saying is Steph can't win without Jimmy Butler.
Steph can win without Jimmy Butler. It's going to be real hard. It's going to be way more difficult. Like this whole concept that like, oh, if Steph's so great, he should be able to do it by himself. That's not how the NBA works. You know that. I know that. I know you want to throw your hate at the man you refer to as Binky Boy. I get it. I understand it. This Rockets team's real good. Like, for the record, LeBron's got to have Luka to win too. That doesn't diminish how good the guy is.
Oh no, it really comes down to, I just want Golden State to go home. I hope Jimmy Butler's all right, but I hope he recovers in like 2 weeks.
We will find out, and we'll talk more about that game later on the show. Let's very quickly get to item number 3. A federal judge told the NCAA and its members yesterday that she would not approve of the multi-billion-dollar antitrust settlement that is expected to reshape the business of college sports unless they change a proposed policy for limiting roster sizes. Judge Claudia Wilkin said the NCAA's insistence on immediately implementing roster limits would cause some college athletes to lose their spot on their current teams, and that she could not approve a settlement that would cause harm to some members of the plaintiffs' class. She wrote that she did not have issues with any other parts of the proposed settlement, and that the court, quote, tentatively finds it can grant final approval, end quote, once the roster limit issue is resolved. Wilkins suggested during a hearing for settlement approval earlier this month that the NCAA should consider delaying its new roster size rules to grandfather in current athletes. Wilkins wrote in her order yesterday, these class members will be harmed because their roster spot will be or has been taken away as a result of the immediate implementation of the settlement agreement, end quote. A spokesperson for the NCAA and defendant said in a statement that they are, quote, closely reviewing Wilkins' order. The statement from the NCAA spokesperson said, quote, our focus continues to be on securing approval of this significant agreement, which aims to create more opportunities than ever before for student athletes while fostering much needed stability and fairness in college sports. So the House settlement, which was expected to, or theoretically expected to pass at some point within the last couple of weeks, now it appears it is going to be put off a little bit further into the future as the NCAA has been told to review, change, or at least delay the implementation of roster caps across college sports. We are going to address that coming up here in just a few minutes on the radio program. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your water cooler cheat sheet. We'll do a short segment coming up. Rashad Beard going to join us at 7:40. We'll talk draft for the Carolina Panthers. Lulu Keston at 8 o'clock. The back end of the 8 o'clock hour belongs to you. 9 o'clock, Hate Nas Mario, 925 Club. And then it's draft talk to wrap up the show. The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
This is Ross Cruz, the driver of the 7100cars.com Chevy Silverado in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And you're listening to the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center, here's the Carolinas' most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms here for today. Cloudy skies, a high.
663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is the Rod Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Rob Brown Show back on the radio. It's the Fan Upstate. There are two very interesting stories in the landscape of college football to discuss right now. One of them involving NIL, one of them involving the House settlement. I will start with the NIL story just because honestly, I find it very interesting, and I think it is another, like, this has been since the Nico Iamaleava story broke a couple of weeks ago. This has been one of the most transformative periods of college football that we've had in a while, not because of what's happening with the players, but because of the fact that the schools are starting to fire back at this point. And again, they have every right to do so. With the players gaining a lot of the power that they have gained, they have to understand that the schools and the conferences are going to fight to protect themselves as well. According to On3 Sports, Arkansas, who has seen a couple of players leave, including Madden Iamaleava. Madden Iamaleava is the younger brother of Nico Iamaleava. He is leaving Arkansas and transferring to join his brother at UCLA. Here's what's very interesting about the story. According to Amanda Kristovich on Twitter, according to Amanda Nikovich of Front Office Sports, quote, Arkansas's NIL collective has sent 2 demand letters to players asking to fulfill buyout clauses, sources tell Front Office Sports. The AD's comments yesterday were referring to multiple players who left before NIL contracts expired, including Madden Iamaleava, who is again expected to join Nico at UCLA. According to the letter, Arkansas is demanding roughly $200,000 in back pay from Madden Iamaleava, who enrolled earlier this year and spent just a few months with the program. He is not suited up for the Razorbacks in a game yet did receive at least some amount of money from Arkansas via NIL. Hunter Yurachek, the athletic director at Arkansas, said, quote, I've spoken with the leadership team at Arkansas Edge, that's their NIL collective, and expressed my support in their pursuit to enforce their rights under any agreement violated by our student athletes moving forward. We appreciate Edge's investment in our student athletes and acknowledge the enforcement of these agreements is vital in our new world of college athletics. We look forward to continued dialogue with all parties in resolving these. Yurachek did not single out one athlete, but his decision to comment on NIL buyouts the day after Iamaleava's departure is likely not a coincidence. There is a similar situation playing out at Tennessee, where Nico Iamaleava and the Volunteers have had a public divorce. Nico was set to make $2.4 million in 2025. Instead, he'll make significantly less than that at UCLA. On3 Sports reports in their story, and I'll just read you the paragraph that ends this article that they have put up. The paragraph that they have put up that ends their article is this. Most schools now include buyouts in revenue-sharing contracts or in NIL collective deals that are being transitioned to rev share contracts this summer. Wisconsin defensive back Xavier Lucas transferred to Miami over the winter without entering the portal because the Badgers argued a revenue-sharing deal he signed included a buyout clause. Wisconsin has since indicated it may pursue legal action against Lucas. And my reaction to that, great one, and I'm curious to get yours. My reaction to that is this. If you want the power to make money via NIL, if you want the power to get money for your name, image, and likeness, it is understandable that you would be asked to sign a contract to take advantage of that situation. And if you are asked to sign a contract, it would make sense that there would be some sort of clause in that contract that says if you do not fulfill your obligations to this contract, you are going to have to pay back the money that is in compensation for whatever you didn't fulfill. However, the other side of the coin is this. NIL deals are not for playing football. We've established this. They are not for playing football. They are for signing autographs and taking pictures and going to meetings and endorsing products and yada, 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 yada. If a football team or if a school or if a collective gives money to a cat like Madden Iamaliava and they ask him to do things like that, if Madden Iamaliava showed up and he did all the things they asked since he has shown up on campus, he took the pictures, he signed the autographs, he went to the booster club meetings, he endorsed the products, whatever they asked him to do. Since the contract's not for playing football, I'm really curious as to see what money it is they want back and for what reason. If he did all the things they asked, it's kind of on them for giving all of that to a guy who's never played football before, is my take on it.
All right. I'm also curious, is the school involved in this at all?
I mean, this is the school's athletic director encouraging the collective to go get the money back. I mean, they are.
Well, here's the thing, though, that you just said, and that the NIL contract has nothing to do with them playing football. So why is the school involved?
The school has the right to comment on it, just like you and I do. The school has the right to say, we have the NIL collectives back. They act on our behalf. We think they should absolutely get their money back. They can't do anything as far as enforcing it or ruling on it or providing resources to the collective or to the player, but they have the right to comment on it, just like you and I do have.
Okay, but they also have incredible influence over this.
Sure.
And the thing is, can that influence be considered? I don't know what the word is, whatever the legal thing is for interference. Them coercing something, trying to cause another entity to go after the player, even though supposedly they have nothing to do with it, because it has nothing to do with whether they're playing or not. This whole thing is so it really needs to be regulated, because in the end, I know you keep saying that the school has nothing to do with it, but obviously they do. The schools have something to do with all of these NIL collectives. And if you can influence an NIL collective to go after a player, then you definitely are in some sort of control.
I am going to disagree and say it's the same as, although yes, they are obviously much more influential in the situation. It is the same as you and I sitting here. If this situation, let's say, was playing out at South Carolina, right? And there was a kid that came to South Carolina, signed a recruiting agreement, came there, took some NIL money, and then 3 months later said, I'm out, I gotta go. If you and I came on this show and said, hey, we think South Carolina's NIL collective should go get their money back from this kid. He didn't fulfill his end of the obligation. We feel like
it's not the same. It's not the same, because we're not the school. We're
I'm not saying it's the same. What I'm saying is we haven't encouraged this. All we've said is, here's our opinion on the matter. And all the athletic director is say, this is our opinion on the matter, which is, in my opinion. Now, if down the line a judge says that is overstepping boundaries, then we'll get there. But this is another case of, you didn't put the guardrails down in the beginning, and now you have to address it situation by situation. We'll come back to this story later on in the show. We got Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast coming up in the next segment of the radio program. We will have Lulu Kesson at 8. We'll bring this story back up, as well as the house settlement story at the end of the 8 o'clock hour. Mario at 9 o'clock, Fight Club at 9:20, and whatever you want to wrap up the show on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Real sports talk for real sports fans.
The Fan Upstate
Is the sports voice of you, the Upstate fan. Call 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663.
The Fan!
Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash presented by Progressive.
College baseball tonight, number 3 Clemson.
Hey, Rob, is he coming on stream also, or is he just calling?
No, just calling.
Extend a 4-game winning streak. The Braves beat the Cardinals 4-1 in Atlanta. The Braves are
which I will text you his number.
Eli White's 3-run homer in the 8th.
Okay.
Atlanta to the win. JoJo Romero gave up singles to Matt Olson and Ozzy Albies before
We got time.
White went deep to left field off Ozzy Fernandez. The Braves have the day off.
The next one's
Friday in Arizona, where Lefty Chris Sale is scheduled to start. NFL draft first round tonight. Green Bay, Wisconsin is the host. Carolina has the
I
8th
just
overall
texted it to you.
selection.
Let me know you
Panthers
get it.
also have one second-round
Okay,
pick.
so Chris is theorizing that
Panthers announced that they will
that
be able to host
it
fans
shouldn't
for
have been a
training camp
problem.
this year
So
again.
I may.
Thanks due to ongoing construction at
If
Bank
you're
of America
only on the
Stadium
stream,
and
you've only
team's
got
new
one
practice
source of
facility.
audio.
Download the
But
Odyssey app
here's the
for
thing,
Fan
though.
Upstate and
In
listen
order
anywhere.
for
I'm Chuck Sanders. That's
them
Sports
to
Flash
hear
on
the
Fan Upstate.
stream, it has to be in utility.
Right. But this means that all
But
of your wide orbit
Up to the
audio
minute
is going
upstate
straight,
traffic.
right?
it is when I
Rain for the
leave it
upstate.
there. Yeah, yeah. Do you want to try Mario just on StreamYard?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah.
I can test it. I can join the stream.
Okay.
And see if I can hear you guys and you can hear me, and it's on the stream.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do this then. And I'm sure this is already your plan, Chris, but I'll say it out loud anyway. I will invite Mario and ask him to join like 5 minutes early at like 8:55. And then we can toy with it during the break and see if we can get it good, and then have it good for 9. And if not, then he can call.
That's fine. I was suggesting that I could join the stream right now, like just from my phone or something. And see if
Well, I mean, it would
hear
have to
me.
be. It would have to be. This break will be over soon, but.
I mean, can you pad it? I mean, do we have enough time? Like, I
have to call. We know we have a
you got-
guest.
okay, you
Yeah,
got someone
we have a
else.
guest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then don't listen to me.
I always listen to you, Chris.
Does anyone ever, Christopher?
Not often enough.
I'm the only invisible person here. Don't try to give it to him.
All right, guys, we're going to step away while we get Rashad lined up. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Wonderful.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. And joining us now on the phone because Rob Brown's got a broken car and a blown out tire, which means that he's got to work from the stream, which means that we can't have anybody else on the stream because technology is kind of a pain in the butt like that sometimes. So kind enough to join us on the phone line up in Charlotte, North Carolina, young man who hosts the Panther Nation podcast, your source for all the Panther news, talk, and information you could possibly want, and then a little bit more. My guy, Rashad Beard, joining us here on the show. Shad, what's up, big fella? How we doing, partner?
Yeah, we're good, man. Excited. It's draft day, so we finally get all this over with. You know what I mean? We've been talking about it forever, and it culminates today, so I'm excited.
Yeah, man. So let's start with this, bud. Like, just your 36,000 foot view on the story today. Let's just start with, what do you think tonight shapes up and looks like? What do you think the weekend shapes up and looks like for the Carolina Panthers? Are we going to walk away, come back here on Monday morning, and be jacked up about what the Cats took care of?
Yeah, we should be. I think this is a critical draft. I think Canales and Morgan and company to get this one right. We can't afford to have any more missteps in the draft. We have to start developing our talent. We're building some continuity here, and I think this draft is very, very important to adding to that. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we've got a lot of options. We got a lot of holes to fill, and I think we're going to walk away with a lot of good talent. And I'm excited. I think there'll be a couple surprises as far as trade backs, because obviously this team likes to move. We've shown that in the past. We'll trade back, trade up. And I do expect that to happen again. Dan Morgan did have his press conference, and he mentioned about being stuck at 8. So it appears that he doesn't want to necessarily be at 8. And so I do anticipate some movement, maybe not in the first round, but, I do expect some movement in the second and third rounds.
The more I've thought about this pick at 8, and I do think a lot of it's going to depend on how obviously thing falls, what the Giants do at 3, what the Raiders do at 6, what the Jags do at 5, because all of a sudden it seems like they're very interested in Ashton Janty. At least that's the smoke in the wind, Rashad Beard. Depending on how things fall, I'm very intrigued, because you have heard, as you just pointed out, Dan Morgan say a number of times, this team is willing to move back if they get the right deal. I saw a report yesterday that they might even be willing to take a little bit less than a market deal to move back, because at this point the priority is on picks, not necessarily any one position or player in this draft. What do you think the trade back would look like? Is it somebody trying to jump up and grab Shedeur? Do you think you're going to walk away with a haul, or do you think Dan Morgan believes picks are more important than any particular player at this point?
Yeah, I think they're trying to stack talent. And again, you want to get as many players as possible, in my opinion, to kind of stack the deck and add some talent to that room. I think, when you have Bryce Young on a rookie deal, you got to take advantage of it. So they're going to try to get as many opportunities to add talent as possible. And so I don't know who's going to trade up and for what. I don't anticipate it being Shedeur. I think Shedeur is going to take a little bit of a tumble. I think a lot of the buzz is saying that he may fall to the Steelers at 21. I do think that that's more likely. I don't think, you can probably tell us more than anybody else, but I don't think the Saints want to go Shedeur. So I think that he's probably going to end up taking a little bit of a slide. And I question on who, if somebody does want to move up, who is it for? Because most of the time you get the biggest hauls for quarterbacks. And if it's not a quarterback, then what? And then who? And I do still, if we do decide to trade back, I anticipate us trying to add another second round pick, because if you look at the draft board, we're picking late. We're supposed to be picking early. Obviously, we trade that pick away to the Chicago Bears. They have that pick. And so we're picking later in the second round. And I don't think we want to sit back and wait. I think there's a lot of good talent that's going to be in that second round. And I think we're going to attempt to add another second round pick, hopefully another earlier second round pick. But we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see it.
I've said a couple of times, Rashad, the tumble of Shedeur Sanders is actually probably worse for the Carolina Panthers than anybody else. And not because they were in on Shedeur Sanders, obviously, but more because at the point in time where it felt like Shedeur was a top 10 pick, at the point in time where, and this was just like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, all the smoke in the wind said the Saints were in on Shedeur Sanders at 9. It kind of felt like that 8 spot might be able to get you a haul, because you could dangle it in front of quarterback needy teams and go, look, here's your options. You trade with us at 8 to get this kid, or you watch him go to New Orleans. That's the only way this plays out. Now, most mocks have him falling down to 21 to Pittsburgh. A handful of have him falling out of the first round entirely before he gets grabbed. I think that does lower the amount that Carolina can probably get for that 8 spot. But that's not to say, especially with so many needy teams and it's not an exceptional draft class, but it is deep on good players, if shallow on very good players. I still think there's a lot of value for that 8 pick. That's why I keep falling back to the right move for Carolina is to trade back out of 8.
Yeah, I just think it really depends on who is there, right? I think if you run into a situation where Mason Graham is there and Jalen Walker, who I still believe is going to be the pick, I think there's too many signs pointing to that. If he's there, I think that ultimately the Carolina Panthers are going to take him. Again, the only way I see a trade back is they're going to want an additional second or third. And I don't know. I just don't know if you're going to get that kind of haul. It just depends on who is there and who is trading up to get that player and how desperate they are. And you never know. Anything could happen during the draft. It often does. There's guys that fall that shouldn't fall. And so, it may land in a spot where somebody is begging for this player at 8, and they give the entire world for said number 8 pick, and we end up with a big haul. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. Only time will tell. I'm excited. That's the best thing about the draft. It's a big drama. We love it, and I'm excited to see it.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Rashad, I am transferring the powers of Dan Morgan onto you. You're the general manager. What is the idea? Knowing the guys we know are going to be gone. We know Cam Ward is going to be gone. We know Abdul Carter is going to be gone. Knowing the guys we know are going to be gone. The ideal, perfect, this could not have gone better for Carolina selection at number 8 is who?
That's so tough because there's so many different. I can give you different options, you different reasons as to why that'll be the guy. But I'll start with Jalen Walker because I do think he'll ultimately be the pick. I think that because Jalen Walker's so versatile and you need talent, right? Jalen Walker's a guy that can. He's a good in coverage. He's a good edge rusher. He can come off the edge and be a solid pass rusher. I think he's so versatile, and he's somebody. He provides that talent that we've been missing since we let a guy like Frankie Luvu walk. And I think he fills a couple of needs. He can play in line. He can play off the edge. So I think that Jalen Walker ultimately would be the best case scenario for the Carolina Panthers. I know he's a little bit of a enigma for fans because they don't know how he's going to be used, and they question whether Evero can use him effectively. And that's valid concern because Frankie Luvu left because he felt like another coordinator could use him better. So the concerns for that are valid. But I do think we need this type of player on our defense. We have to get talent. We have to get better. And because I think, and he's a hometown guy, Jalen Walker's from Salisbury, North Carolina, and he's come from that Georgia pedigree. I think that he fits exactly what Dan Morgan's been talking about, good leadership qualities. I think he's ultimately going to be the guy. However, if Mason Graham is there too, I can make an argument that Mason Graham paired up with Derrick Brown would be a nightmare for the league moving forward. Now, we do need to fix the interior of our defensive line, and we saw us get wrecked in the run game, and I think that would fix that. I can make an argument for Tet or either Golden, one of the receivers. I can make an argument that we need another true number 1 wide receiver, and that doesn't exist on the roster right now. But ultimately, if it's me and you had to make me select right now, I'm going Jalen Walker to pick number 8. No trade back.
That's the name I keep landing on as well. If you're not going to trade back, again, I am still leaning on the trade back because I do think there are. I will say this, Rashad, there is one real good thing here for the Carolina Panthers, in my opinion. It is the fact that, and I think we agree, correct me if I'm wrong, edge rusher is the way to go. Edge rusher is the number 1 need for this team. And if that was ever going to be the case, if there was ever a year for that to be the reality, it's this year because it's a pretty good edge rush class. And obviously there's a fall off from Abdul Carter and Mason Graham as the top 2 spots across the defensive line to the next group. But the next group of guys, there's a pretty good number of dudes who to me are all kind of in the same realm of talent. That's another reason I look at the trade back. But if you're going to go edge, Jalen Walker at 8 feels like the best next player available.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give you another scenario in a trade back that I think could be also beneficial. If we trade back, you could still get another solid edge rusher, or I think one position to keep an eye on that nobody's really talking about, but it's actually a massive need for the Panthers is safety. So if we trade back, I can see picking up a guy like Nick Ward from South Carolina, and who was an absolute dog, had a great offseason, great combine, everything measurable was great for him. And so I think that it could be a sneaky pick for the Carolina Panthers in a trade back scenario. I think if we ended up outside the top 15, I think he's a guy to keep an eye on. There's a couple of edge rushers that you can also you talk about. Shamar is going to pass the top 10, given the way things have been going for him. But there's a couple of names out there that I think James Pierce is another one that you could probably trade back and get in the top 15, 16 to 20 area. So I think, like you said, the edge rusher class is deep. You can still find some talent if you trade back if it's not Jalen Walker, but keep an eye on that safety position.
I'm interested, and I got to tell you, dude, I love Nicky Manwari. I love that pickup. I love the Panthers continuing to kind of make inroads with South Carolina. I'd love to see, obviously, a Clemson player make his way into the mix, if only selfishly, because I think it would increase the amount of NFL attention that the Panthers get down here. Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Night number 1 of the NFL draft tonight. The Carolina Panthers picking at number 8. Rashad Beard, you're going to, on Monday morning, be looking at a Carolina Panther draft class that you hope accomplishes, in order, what top 3 goals?
We got to add to the edge rusher room. Obviously, you have Jadeveon Clowney and Wanham, who are on expiring deals. So we got to get younger there. So hopefully we add a couple of edge rushers. I think we need more than one. I also think we need to absolutely address the secondary. Safety, I talked about it earlier. I would even add a cornerback to that room as well. I know we have Mike Jackson and we have J.C. Horn. That's a solid tandem, but Mike Jackson is on a 1-year deal. So again, I'd like to add some continuity there moving forward, maybe add a solid future too behind him. Also, again, I keep harping on it, but we need to get a wide receiver in this class and out of this draft class. I think it's a sneaky class. There aren't no big names like there were in prior years, but there's some good guys that you can get in day 2. Jalen Royals, Higgins, Noel. There's a bunch of guys that I would like to select on day 2. And I'm hopeful that we can grab one of those guys. I think we're missing a little bit of variety in our wide receiver room. I think, you got Leggett, you've got Thielen, you've got Coker, but we need a shiftier guy. We need a young guy that can they can get open deep, that can beat somebody with speed. And I think that I really like Noel, man. I know he's gonna probably get picked up by someone else, but if we were to get Noel, I would be extremely happy. I always fall in love with a guy. Like when I evaluate them in the off season, and he's that guy this year. I really like him a lot, and so hopefully we can get him. But wide receiver, edge, and secondary are things we need to address for sure. And hopefully we can come here on Monday and victory lap over that.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can find them on X at Panther Nation PC. Make sure, more importantly, you've got them subscribed on YouTube. You guys going to do what, like 36, 48 hours of live coverage this weekend on the Panther Nation podcast?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. We're going live tonight. We'll go live tomorrow. I will not be live on Saturday. I have another obligation, but we'll certainly be wrapping it up probably on Sunday. We'll probably have a long stream on Sunday to kind of go over everything. And then we'll be back at it on our regularly scheduled program on Tuesday night at 8:00. So yeah, things are going well, man. One thing I have a question, Rob, and your audience. I don't know if they're a little bit perturbed about training camp. Did you all talk about that?
What about it moving?
About no fans at training camp this year or the next 2 years.
No, we have not gotten into that yet.
Yeah. So no fans at training camp for the next 2 years. So I'm a little bit perturbed by that, and which makes a bigger issue in that we probably could have kept it in Spartanburg until they officially built everything. But neither here nor there. I think it's a good topic to talk about with your local folks.
No, I agree. And not only will we talk about it, we'll bring it back up next week when Rashad Beard joins us again. My man, enjoy the draft tonight, brother. We'll talk to you next week with a recap, pal.
Absolutely will do. Cannot wait.
Legend Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joins us every Thursday. When we come back, Lulu Kesson talks South Carolina Gamecocks. We got Hayton Ass Mario at 9, Fight Club at 9:20. Anything and everything y'all want to talk about in the middle. Here's what Lonzo wants to talk about. It's a sports flash.
I absolutely want to talk about this, especially game number 2, win number 2 for the Hub City Spartanburgers over the Greenville Drive last night, finishing with the first ever walk-off win for the Burgers, 4-3. Starter Colton Curtis struck out 4 through 2, while Larson Kendrick fanned 4 of 6. he faced to earn the win. The Houston Rockets leveled the series with Golden State at game apiece with 109-94 win last night. The Warriors' Jimmy Butler left the game with just 8 minutes played after a fall, landing squarely on his tailbone, leaving the Warriors to rely on 10 bench players who were unable to make the difference. The Atlanta Braves got the W in the game and the series last night, taking down St. Louis 4-1. Bryce Elder went 6 innings, allowing 5 hits and just 1 run. Eli White's 3-run shot in the 8th powered the Braves to the win. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show coming up.
Wrestling is on
State.
WYRD Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville.
W249DL Greenville.
W246CV Spartanburg.
Upstate.
An Odyssey Sports Station.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get robbed.
Only
The Fan Upstate.
And off we go, ladies and gentlemen, into hour number 3 of the 4-hour sports talk extravaganza that we call the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, you, and now joining us on the phone line, as she is more than kind enough to do every single Thursday at 8 a.m. to talk a little South Carolina Gamecock athletics. Lulu Kesson. Kind enough to take the time out this AM. Lulu, good morning. Happy Thursday. Have we rested and recovered from the tournament? I know that was an absolute whirlwind. Are we like back to normal-ish at this point?
Yeah, working there. I feel like once the NFL draft is over, because obviously that throws off the work timeline and the schedule too, just because it's basically all at night. I think May I'll feel like fully recharged, but I definitely feel like a lot better and more on schedule even now than I did like 2 weeks ago.
I have no doubt. Let's since you brought it up very quickly, let's talk NFL draft for just a second, and we'll take it from two angles. I will ask you first, as a football fan, the question that I have been getting on different shows I've been guesting on this week. You got any shocks on round one? You got any surprises on round one? You got any round one happenings tonight that all of us are just going to be like, whoa, what the hell just happened? A, and B, where do you think Nick Eamon-Warry ends up playing out? Because this dude has been skyrocketing up of draft boards this week.
Yeah, I hate to disappoint. I don't necessarily have any like shock picks for round one. I think it's funny, like South Carolina, I do think last year, obviously it was sort of like no one thought Spencer Rattler was going to go round one, but everyone knew Xavier was gonna. And so this year, I feel like it's fun kind of in that same way where it's like, okay, there's a ton of people who from South Carolina who may go, but the question is where in round one does Nick Eamon-Warry go? And I mean, the defensive coordinator, Clayton White, praised Nick Eamon-Warry to no end and his work ethic and his passion. And there's so much about him that I think wasn't always visible because he was only here for 3 years. And I say that in the sense of like, dang, people didn't like get to know him as well as they could have. But I could see him, people have him at 13 going to the Dolphins. I don't think he'll go, I think it was like USA Today and maybe ESPN are thinking like mid to late 20s, like 24, 27. I think he's going more lower teens, but we'll see.
We are talking to Lulu Kesson here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Since we're talking football, Lulu, let's check in with Shane Beamer's Gamecock football program. I saw that you guys over at the Greenville News have gone so far as to establish a South Carolina portal tracker because welcome to college football in 2025. If I asked you to give me, if you have them, 2-3 big deals or conversation pieces that you think Gamecock fans might be interested in, whether it's the portal, whether it's the conclusion of the spring game and any learning lessons we took away from that, whatever, what might that be?
I'll do a couple and I'll do rapid fire. I think the spring game, my biggest takeaway, I was looking a lot at the wide receivers and the backup QBs behind Lenoris because I think it was very useful to have somebody like Robbie Ashford last year who had a lot of in-game experience who could back up Lenoris when he unfortunately got hurt. And not that I'm expecting Lenoris to miss time, but obviously you have to be prepared for that. And I was really impressed with Cutter Woods. I think the first play of the game was like a 57-yard throw. I was not as impressed with Aaron Noland, and I think he knows probably. I asked Lenoris to kind of assess all of the quarterbacks, and it was clear that whatever went wrong, the quarterback has a very good understanding of how it went wrong. So I'm not saying that Aaron Noland is bad. He just didn't have the best, I guess, couple quarters in the spring game. Wide receiver, like Malik Clark and Brian Rowe, those true freshmen, like they're going to be good. There's a lot of really young wide receiver talent, which I think will be great because Shane obviously lost Josh Simon, the tight end, led the team with, I think he was 519 receiving yards last year and like 40 catches. So somebody's going to need to replicate, his production. Obviously, returning Dre Jacobs and Mazio Bennett is huge. Jared Brown as well, but it was very impressive to see some of those freshmen. And then Shane is working in the portal. I mean, he said that he wanted depth at the edge rusher position, and he signed 2 edge rushers already. So it's a positive sign there. And if in my opinion, so far, knock on wood, there hasn't been any crazy exits so far.
Lulu Kesson joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Aside from the quarterbacks at the spring game, and I am very interested in the situation with Air Nolan, but I have also watched Lenora Sellers. Like, he has become Lulu Kesson, and I'm not just talking about on the Vegas boards. I host and I guest on multiple shows on national outlets throughout the week, Lulu, and the number of people who want to talk to me about Lenora Sellers, not just his capability, but entering the 2025 season as a Heisman hopeful is like recognizably increased. I host on a gambling show on our network on the weekends. We've had a number of college football guys come through over the past couple of months, and every time I've asked, is there a way too early Heisman hopeful, I have heard Lenora Sellers' name thrown out there a number of times. Have you seen what you want to see out of the kid through the spring into the spring game to believe that he is worth having his name mentioned amongst the potential best of the best this season?
That's a tricky question because I definitely haven't seen enough of him in general to have an opinion just based on the access we get in the practices. Like, most of the time when we do get to watch practice, it's a lot of, okay, they're warming up. Okay, your 10 minutes is over when they're done stretching. I do think that Lenoris this season, if he continues to go upward, will have, those Heisman talks validated, and they'll continue. But I think that in the spring game, I wasn't like, oh my God, Heisman, just because of it was a spring game, but he definitely wasn't ultra impressive there at all. He technically got sacked, I think, twice, and then threw an interception, but it was called back. So I think that it's hard to know what he's going to look like, as second-year starter in a similar way if I didn't know what he was going to look like last year. And I think that's because I do strongly believe and confidently feel like there's a whole nother level to him that he hasn't unlocked yet.
We are talking to Lulu Kesson from the Greenville News, covers the South Carolina Gamecock athletic department. All right, let's very quickly, Lulu, kind of surface level, flip it over to the baseball program. Again, I know that this is kind of a year that maybe has gotten away from Paul Maneri, but it is year number 1. It's a big culture shift that has to take place here as we are getting towards the end of the SEC regular season for South Carolina. They've had some struggles in the SEC. They did take 2 out of the 3 against Ole Miss, relatively low-scoring games. They won game 1 3-2. They won game 2 7-2. They lost game 3. Rubber stamp match on a Sunday. They've got a 3-2 win over UNF. It just kind of feels like right now, to some degree, the bats are a little bit of an issue, which with the pitching struggles we knew this team was going to have coming into this year, you needed the offense to stay hot. Any thoughts on that series? It can be surface level, or the thoughts on the series upcoming against Kentucky, which goes first pitch on Friday night.
Yeah, I think it was definitely, I didn't look at the first win against Ole Miss and say, okay, this program is fine. I didn't, have that reaction by any means, but it obviously was nice to see them take the series and win the first 2 games. But then, as Coach Maneri said, like, you're only, I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like you're only as good as your next day pitcher or something like that. And so to have, 2 quality wins and then give up, I think it was like 2 or 7 runs in the second inning, or maybe even first inning, it's just like, that's hard to swallow. And I think that with this team, it's hard because the lows are really low and you can't really go high with the highs because it feels like they're met with a little bit of like disappointment pretty soon after. So I'm curious to see how they respond in general, just based on the fact that, they had success finally, which everyone was sort of like, hey, if they don't win, like, I don't know. And then to kind of be at this good sort of up and then immediately come down pretty soon after on Sunday. I'm curious how the Kentucky series that starts tomorrow plays out, simply because of how Ole Miss ended.
All right, Lulu Kesson, let's flip it over because I do think it is important to talk about the Gamecock women's basketball team. Dawn Staley is working the portal right now. I know we talked a couple of days ago, actually last week, I believe, about Tina Latson coming over from Florida State, young lady putting up over 25 points a game there. Now we find out that 6'6" Medina Okot coming up from Mississippi State. Give me some thoughts on the signings of those two players. If you have any backstory on like how these transfers came about, was Dawn actively engaged in the portal? Was this, I know with Latson specifically, it was kind of a team effort, literally the team, her ex-teammate Raven trying to get her in there, etc. Can you just kind of give me the backstory on how these two young ladies, two of the best in the portal available, both ended up in Columbia?
Totally. Well, I'll start with, with Okot. She entered the transfer portal April 4th. So South Carolina was playing in the Final Four. And then on April 6th, after they lost the national championship, Dawn was like, we need, production, size, we need experience. And although Medina has only played one SEC season, like, she's a veteran already. She started 34 SEC games. I mean, she played tough NCAA tournament games against Cal and Southern Cal. So even though the world of SEC basketball and even just a lot was new to her, I mean, she played 2 years in Kenya, came here. I believe I was talking to the Mississippi State beat writer who I work with, and he said that it was a lot of adjustments, getting her here on time and up to speed, but she just learned everything so quick. And I think that probably is something Dawn saw in her, not only her versatility, but her adaptability, her effort, her skill. I mean, she had a game in the double overtime win against Vanderbilt. She had 21 points and 23 rebounds. So I think that when Dawn saw her in the portal Final Four weekend in real time, which she said in a way you kind of get to do when you're losing by like 40, is you can look at, okay, what do we need next year? And I think it was obvious all season, but especially in the tournament, that Dawn wanted a true center. And so after Latson signed, Raven tweeted, okay, let me go get us a center, because there's a whole thing about how Raven's like Dawn's mini recruiter. And so Latson was a done deal. Like I saw that coming from a mile away. From the second I asked Raven March 24th, I was like, so your girl's in the portal, like, any thoughts on that? And she was like, yeah, I'm in her ear. I'm trying to get her to come here. Like, I'm telling her, run it back. And who'd I argue is one of the best coaches in women's basketball, maybe, I think, obviously the best coach in the SEC. Like, when she wants you and your old teammate is on the team and willing to return for an extra year, like, that was going to happen. And so with such a productive scorer like Latson, I think Dawn wanted a true center that she didn't have, and somebody that could probably come off the bench for Kitts or Edwards. And man, Okot, she's a really, really great portal get. And she was here over the weekend hanging with the girls, and my sources tell me that she fits in really, really well, and that everyone just like completely hit it off. So that's always a great sign.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, especially considering how we talked about last year. And I felt like it certainly played out in the national championship game, Lulu Kesson, that grabbing boards, cleaning the glass in the paint kind of felt like it just kind of felt like the weakness and the downfall of this team. They were really unable to do it, even against UConn, who had some size, but it wasn't like they had themselves a Camila Cardoso in the middle. It felt like by adding the 25 to the outside, even if it cost you Malaysia Fulwiley, I still think you upgraded. And now adding, I don't want to say that she is going to be Camila Cardoso volume 2, but at least has the prototype to be that person. I think what I have to give Dawn Staley credit for in this spot, Lulu Keston, is like the two spots we were most concerned about. She just addressed both of them, Dawn Staley did, right out of the gate.
Absolutely. And I do think too, like, not to just sit here and gas Staley up, but she can develop players. And so I think that's a huge testament to her, obviously her assistant coaches, her program, but I also think it gives her a really great advantage in the portal, knowing that she doesn't have to get a 2024 Camila Cardoso in the portal. She can get, maybe a 2022 Camila Cardoso that still had, some time to sit behind Aaliyah Boston and Victoria Saxton, but could give her quality minutes off the bench. And I see Okot doing more than, Camila did in 2022, but I think that Dawn is well aware that she has, the talent, and she's bringing in a lot, but that Dawn has the tools to polish everything up.
Lou Kessin covers the South Carolina Gamecocks for the Greenville News. She is kind enough to join us every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Lulu, appreciate it. Listen, enjoy the draft tonight. Enjoy NFL Christmas, and get you sleep, because I feel like next Thursday is going to be a big one.
Yes. Wait, can I say one more thing?
Yes, of course. Anytime.
It was so funny. You were all over my Twitter feed last week at the football event. And all these South Carolina fan accounts were like, "Oh, Rob Brown in a suit. Oh, he wore green tonight. Oh," and I was like, "What the heck? How did I not know that?" It was Thursday night, right, or Friday? You had talked on the phone, or we had done this interview, and then it was like you were Batman. You just were fully in a whole new outfit, a different suit, and everyone was gassing you up on my timeline. It was so funny.
I'm it's like Clark Kent and Superman. Mild-mannered, quiet, and shy radio guy in the daytime, out there trying to make waves in the evening, Lulu Kessin. That's what I do.
Exactly. Well, everyone approved your outfit, so I'm glad that I got to see all of that. Everyone give you some well-deserved love and praise.
Did you peek the matching Jordans, though?
I did. It was a great touch, and I'm pretty sure my parents did too, because I sent them the tweet. I was like, "Look, it's Rob Brown."
Wow. Look at it. Oh my gosh. Now we're going to have to deal with this for the rest of the day.
Also, she said I'm Batman.
I heard.
Yeah. Lulu Kessin for the Greenville News. Appreciate it, Lulu. We'll talk to you next Thursday. Thank you, ma'am.
Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you guys next week.
You got it. See you then. Lulu Kessin for the Greenville News joins us every Thursday at 8 o'clock. When we come back, what do you want to get to, ladies?
It's not my Batman. That's all I'm saying.
We can talk more draft. We got to talk some NBA players. How about JJ Redick? JJ Daggum Redick needs some flowers. We're going to talk about that coming up in a few minutes and plenty more. He's Lonzo. I'm Batman. And this is the Batman Sports Show on the Fan Upstate.
Get your daily dose of sports opinions with us. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan.
Whatever. Look at you.
Oh, man.
I'm okay with being Nightwing, Steven.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center, here's the Carolina's most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate.
I do believe that Batman has never had a Robin that was older than him. I'm just saying.
Chance for storms, low of 61. Friday, chance for storms, high of 76. Chance for storms Saturday, sunny by Sunday. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 63.
Be right back, guys.
I'm Ryan Horvath, here to help you beat the books with the BetMGM Network. Christmas is finally here for me. It's draft day. This year's running back class is one of the...
TruGreen backs it all up with a satisfaction guarantee. Not happy? They'll come back between visits to make it right. Don't wait. Head to TruGreen.com today. Let the pros do the work while
You know, Stephen, I wonder if you know the sound that the raspberry makes. Are you aware of that sound? Rob knows that sound.
It's fart sound.
That was a small raspberry. I prefer, which I can do because Rob's not in the room. Don't tell Diesel or Cole. They'll bring in a hazmat crew, clean the board.
It is putting you on the clock. Get ready for live wall-to-wall coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft. Tonight, starting at 7 p.m., who will the Titans take with the number 1 pick? What's the plan for the Carolina Panthers? Will they trade down? We're bringing you exclusive insight, expert analysis, and live interviews straight from Green Bay. Don't miss a moment. Only on the Fan Upstate, your home for the NFL. Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
Rob Brown Show back on your radio, the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown, the great Malonzo, back in the network studio. What would you like to get to? 844-326-3663 is the number to the Hub City Spartanburger text line, 844-326-3663. The phone line is also open. It is the same number, 844-326-3663. Call that number. Get on the show. I will ask you, Carolina Panther fans, and I will ask all of the rest of you, regardless of who your favorite team is. What's your dream scenario tonight? What's your dream scenario this evening? What is the perfect situation for your team to end up? Who's the guy that you want? What is the position of need that you want filled? Would you rather look at a trade back out of your spot, a trade up for a guy? I do not care who your team is. What are your thoughts? What are you looking forward to? What makes you walk away from the opening round of the NFL draft tonight, your first pick of the first 32 picks, and say, we had ourselves a good night? Zoe, I will start with you and your Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning, defending, undisputed NFL runners-up. What is going to be the pick at 31 that you lay your beautiful little head down tonight on your satiny sheets and pillows and say, I can rest easy, the Chiefs got it right?
Well, Thursday's a velvet night, so I lay my head down on velvet. It's a purple velvet, by the way.
Wait, it's a velvet night, as in you rotate fabrics?
Yeah.
Nightly?
Yeah, don't you?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's what you do when you're rich and famous.
Oh, I respect it.
Yeah, so I am going to say I want an offensive lineman, and I've already told you it. Obviously, the Chiefs need it and need another tackle. They just absolutely do. Hopefully, one that doesn't take too long to develop. And Alex on the stream has already echoed what I said I would like to see for the Panthers. Although it's going to be controversial, but ideally for the Panthers, for me, it would be quarterback. But I know that's not going to happen, so I'll settle for Ashton Jeanty.
I am, especially now with, and we talked about this a little bit earlier in the show. There is a
let me interrupt really quick. I just want to say something that I've noticed on the overnight show lately, and this goes against the grain for some people, but there are a lot of people on the national shows who have multiple NFL teams. Just want to point that out. They do. They're fans of multiple NFL teams, and since we no longer have an arbiter here, although we are contractually obligated to mention him at least once a week until his memory completely fades. I think it's okay to root for multiple teams.
I think I've landed on it's okay to have a primary team and a secondary team, right? Like I think that's where I'm good with. Like, you're a Chiefs guy primary. You're a secondary guy for the Panthers, and I'm good with that.
I've been to Panthers camps. I've been to Panthers games. I've never had the opportunity to go to a Chiefs game except for a preseason game with the Panthers. So
Yeah,
I mean, the NFL, my NFL experience, outside of just fandom on TV, is with the Panthers.
Yeah, I think it's primary secondary. Like, I am a primary fan of the New Orleans Saints, although I'm struggling with that right now. My secondary team is the Buffalo Bills. I feel kindred spirits with my friends who have been perennial lovable losers who just love a good bleeping tailgate more than anything in the world. I've got a kinship with the Buffalo Bills as my secondary team.
Yeah, but do you love the fans and the party, or you actually love the team also?
No, I mean, I love the fans and the party, and therefore I'm kind of like a soft spot, secondary spot for the Bills. Like, I pull for the Bills unless they're playing the Saints, right? Like, if theoretically in some multiverse you ended up with a Chiefs Panthers Super Bowl, you're wearing red that day, right? Like, you're not rocking silver and blue if the Cats are playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
I am wearing red, but at the same time, if the Panthers won, it would be amazing because it would be the first time that they had ever won the Super Bowl.
Would you be the same level of emotional, distraught, whatever you want to call it, if Kansas City lost to Carolina as you would be if Kansas City lost to, pick a generic NFC team, Philly?
I think that you can be happy and sad at the same time, especially if you have multiple personalities, which I may or may not have, or I may or may not have.
Or may or may not have. All right. So look, what is the take? What is the thing that happens tonight for your team, regardless of who your team is? What is the take that you go nighty-night this evening and you go, that was a good day one draft. My team got it right. Okay. Chris Lewis, president of the Greenville Triumph, just texted. He said, here's mine. The Giants somehow swindle Philly, get Saquon back. Jaden Daniels demands to be traded to the Giants to play with Saquon. Washington capitulates. Parcells comes out of retirement and takes the reins, and the Giants become an actual NFL team again. Chris, I don't know what you've got in your coffee this morning, but Aaron Rodgers would like
this is your fault. You were very vague when you threw it out there to the Armada. Very vague. I mean, you should have put some walls there. You did not do that.
You are not incorrect. I did not say and be somewhat realistic. So, Chris, I'm going to let you off the hook on this one. What is your realistic take? What is the thing that realistic? Don't tell me Abdul Carter falls to 19. We get Mason Graham at 31. Yeah, okay, but seriously though, okay, but seriously. I
am curious though, because he's the one Giants fan that we're aware of. Would he be upset if Shedeur went there? Even after all the smokescreen saying he's not going to go there?
That's a good question. And that is one that we can throw out there, because I know that there's more than just the one Giants fan in attendance today.
Come on. There's this just him. It is.
It's just Chris.
It's just
so to Chris and no one else, if the Giants end up with Shedeur Sanders at 3, if they decide that they are going to shock of the system and they go with Shedeur at number 3, you good with that? I gotta tell you, I think I would be, because the problems with Shedeur, again, we read you earlier. I got to go find out who it was, but somebody put up a tweet earlier, an article earlier, linked to a tweet that I saw. that allegedly that said that an assistant coach somewhere in the National Football League, an assistant coach said that all of the problems with Shedeur Sanders that have been discussed, that is to say, the entitlement, the arrogance, whatever. An assistant coach told a journalist earlier this week that all of those things came out in Shedeur Sanders in Shedeur Sanders pre-draft interviews, the sit-downs, the professional interviews with the teams. They said he came across as entitled. They said he came across as demanding. They said he came across as just a litany of adjectives that you do not want your starting quarterback to be described as. And that is the reason that Shedeur is not just coming down the draft board, but is tumbling again. Like I've seen a couple of mocks that still have him going 9, 16, 21. And I've seen a growing number of them that have him dropped out of the first round entirely when it's all said and done. And the away from the football field attitude. Now, I will say this, great one. I think there is, because I spent time yesterday saying the cockiness, the confidence, the arrogance, whatever. I'm willing to let most of that be something I overlook with Shedeur Sanders, because again, I sit split down the middle of the nature versus nurture debate. I believe a good chunk of your personality is determined by how you were raised. I think a good chunk of your personality is determined by the environment in which you are raised. And here is a dude who was raised on the nurture side by Deion bleeping Sanders. And on the nurture side was a guy who is grown up, the son of a multimillionaire, the son of one of the most notorious athletes of all time, and a damn good professional athlete, or soon to be professional athlete in his own right. So I'm not shocked he's got a bit of a dude, but there is also a line, especially when you are trying to get a job, that you are going to cross and go, even if people like Rob Brown is willing to forgive this cat for being a bit of a head case. If you can't roll up into an NFL GM's office and just put on a bright smiley for just a couple of minutes, just put on a bright shining face to show that you're really excited. If you're showing up making demands before you even hear your name called on draft day, yeah, it might end up costing you. It might end up costing you. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break. When we come back, speaking of the New York Football Giants, there is a hilarious story that is coming out about the New York Giants, about Joe Schoen, about their general manager, and it dates back to, or is connected back to, you remember when Hard Knocks was following the Giants and there was that scene where Joe Schoen was talking to his kids in his office and he was like, hey, who should we draft? And Joe Schoen's kid was like, Jaden Daniels. Get Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is real good. Get Jaden Daniels. And then they didn't do that. And Jaden Daniels went on to be the rookie of the year this year, playing quarterback for their divisional rivals. You remember that? Well, there's an interesting little development that happened last night that has got some people raising one eyebrow at Joe Schoen and the New York Giants. And it could impact everybody else in the NFL draft. I'll tell you who and what that is when we come back. He is the great Malonzo. I'm the Batman of Sports Talk Radio, Rob Brown. This is the Fan Upstate.
97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg,
And on the Odyssey app.
Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash presented by Progressive.
NFL Draft.
Hit the restroom real quick, guys. I'll be right back. You can take us off the stream if you want, Zoe.
Wow, thank you for the permission. Now I'm just going to leave it on purpose.
I meant if you want to stay on and talk to the people, you
Yeah,
can.
well, I don't. Go away. I'm in control here. Someone calls him Batman and suddenly he's got all this power. I mean, come on. You know, everyone keeps saying that. No, I am not Robin. I have never been anyone's Robin, nor shall I be. Even though Robin / Nightwing is my favorite comic book character of all time, I am not that guy. If I were to be a superhero, I would be Superman. So, a symbol of hope, something to aspire to be, and also the one comic book character that Rob seems to hate. So, I mean, there's that. I've never had the desire to break Batman's back. I want to say that. Plus, Bane's a druggie, so no. No offense, Andrew, but why you get to make the rules? You know, there are superhero team ups. It's not always, oh, here's this guy and here's his sidekick. If Rob was Batman, there's this thing called the World's Finest, and it's a Batman Superman team up. It's been going on forever. It goes away and it comes back. Or maybe I'll just be some obscure Green Lantern. I mean, you know. I do still collect comic books, though. I collect Titans. I collect Nightwing, obviously, and Justice League there for a while. Whoever they are, exactly. I don't adhere to rules anyway. It's more guidelines, Spira code. And maybe I would be a Marvel hero. Maybe it's going to be some DC Marvel crossover. Maybe I'll be the little known blonde Hulk. Not a lot of rage, but you know, really good hair. That's what that's what I'll be.
Okay, we'll talk about it tonight. All right.
Or maybe I'd just be invincible. That's, I mean, you know, invincible would be better anyway, probably. I'm just a yet unseen Viltrumite. So Batman better look out.
Batman gets 2 weeks and middling knowledge of Omni-Man. Can he take him down?
Yeah, Batman can beat anybody.
No, he can't. You guys know I love a dumb story in football. You guys know I love when dumb, ridiculous, over the top and football mesh. It's my favorite thing. And we have one of those things. Do you remember, and we played it on this show because of how absolutely hysterical it was to me, when Hard Knocks rolled around last year leading up to and through the offseason and the New York Giants were featured, the clip that came out of Joe Shane in his office, and he had his kids in there along with some other folks, and they were doing draft prep. And Joe Shane asked his eldest son, who should we draft? And Joe Shane's eldest kid gave him a couple of players. He mentioned Jaden Daniels as one of those players. And there were like 2 or 3 more. And the kid went, so that we are clear here, the kid went 3 for 3 on his picks. The kid named 3 players, all who ended up panning out. Now, it's not like the Giants didn't get a great draft pick. They went with Malik Neighbors, and I think that dude's going to be special if they can get his head screwed on straight.
So you're fine with this, but you're not okay with the kid who was going off of Madden scores.
If one of those kids was right and one of those was using Madden scores, yes, because the kid that said draft Jaden Daniels clearly knew what he was talking about in that spot. And here's the thing. I wasn't going off on the owner's child using Madden scores. Lonzo, I was going off on the owner using the child going off of Madden scores.
But still, yeah, you're upset that the owner didn't listen to his son and draft Jaden. I mean, it's this little.
2 things. Number 1, it's just a silly story. And number 2, correct. That is exactly the problem here. Now, here's why I love this goofy little story. Because Joe Shane asked his son, who does he want? And the kid went 3 for 3 on potential draft picks, including the rookie of the year, who could have been QB1 this year for the Giants instead of Russell Wilson. Well, interesting little development. That same kid, Carson Shane is his name, last night was active on Twitter. Excuse me, on Instagram. Last night, he was active on Instagram. And something very interesting happened that was found out, seen, noticed by Warren Sharp of Sharp Football. Well, Carson Shane put up on his Instagram for just a few minutes, not very long, about 10 minutes or so, put up a highlight reel of Jackson Dart, the quarterback out of Ole Miss. Put up a 2-minute highlight reel of Jackson Dart on his Instagram, then deleted it and set his account to private immediately. Like, put it up there. It was up there for like 8-10 minutes, and then immediately made his Instagram private. But of course, welcome to the internet, where
How old is this
last
kid?
forever.
How old is this kid?
Carson Shane, I don't know. I mean, I know he's
No, I'm just curious if his dad immediately set his account to private, and then that's all.
Carson Shane, I'm trying to find out because I know he ain't young. He's like in his mid-teens, upper teens. He ain't young. But I also wonder, did Daddy Joe get a phone call at whatever o'clock it was last night going, hey, dude, you might want to call your boy because he just threw our shock the world pick out there for all the world to see. Now, let's be real clear here. I am having fun with this story, but let's be clear. It is very possible that Carson Shane is just a football guy and he likes Jackson Dart. I have shared highlight videos before. I have shared stats that I find amusing or entertaining or compelling or whatever before. It is possible that dude just really likes Jackson Dart. But also, why not just go full on the conspiracy theory that the New York Giants are going to blow the whole draft up at pick number 3 and take Jackson Dart out of New York? And here's the thing. This all comes on the heels of watching Jackson Dart move up draft boards spot by spot by spot to the point now that even though it is not most of them, a lot of them now do have Jackson Dart being drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Timeout. I do want to point out there is obviously the possibility that we see Jackson Dart still be drafted ahead of Shedeur or after Shedeur, but to the Giants, because the Giants are absolutely in trade back territory right now. The Giants need picks right now. Abdul Carter will be on the board when the Giants are picking at 3. And even though Abdul Carter is clearly, in my opinion, the right pick for spot number 3, it doesn't necessarily have to be to the Giants. Remember, the Giants have a very strong front 7 right now. Abdul Carter would just be the cherry on top of the Brian Burns whipped cream of the Giants front 7 chocolate sundae is all that would be. So it's a good pick. And it would make the Giants, without a doubt, they would have an identity. Their identity would become, we murder quarterbacks. That's what we do here in New York. And I find that interesting. But I also find interesting the possibility, I think a realistic one, that the Giants could look at that and go, there's going to be a lot of teams who want Abdul Carter. There's a lot of teams who want an edge rusher. Abdul Carter is absolutely, obviously, and clearly the best edge rusher in this draft. So if we want Jackson Dart, and if Carson Shane's little Instagram thing last night has anything to say about that, maybe they do. If the Giants want Jackson Dart, they could trade back as far as likely number 20. Likely number 20. Still get Jackson Dart. And if there is a bidding war for Abdul Carter, which I suspect there would be, if there's a bidding war for Abdul Carter, great one, they could get a treasure trove and their quarterback and still end up with a very good edge rusher as far back as their second round pick or add another second round pick down the line. Like I gotta say, the more I'm thinking about this, and I'm not saying all this is triggered by Carson Shane's late night Instagramming last night, but I think it's absolutely a possibility the Giants could trade back, get Jackson Dart, add a treasure trove, and still get their edge rusher somewhere.
So the Giants have shown a history of doing smart things in the last year or two.
I didn't say all that. I'm saying Joe Shane's fighting for his job. He better figure it out. That's all. I mean, listen, they need a franchise quarterback. They got to get the right guy. Unless Joe Shane is tying his job to Russell Wilson.
Do you believe there are any franchise quarterbacks in this quarterback class?
Are there any that I personally would want to tie my career to? No. Here's what I said to Ryan Horvat on Tuesday. The floor, all right, I'll start with the evaluation of Jackson Dart. Somebody said this on Bet for the Cycle a couple of weeks ago, and I wish I could remember who it was because I think it was a cat by the name of Joe DeLeon, who was on our show. And he said, if you look at the 10 best throws by quarterbacks this year, deep, long, middle, over the top, underneath, touch, finesse, whatever. If you look at the 10 best throws by quarterbacks this year, 7 of them were made by Jackson Dart. If you look at the 10 dumbest decisions by a college football quarterback this year, 7 of those were made by Jackson Dart. My eval on Jackson Dart is the ceiling is lower than Shedeur Sanders because he's just not the same athlete. He's a good athlete, but he's not the same athlete. The floor is lower than Shedeur Sanders. If both of them are as bad as they can be, Shedeur Sanders will be a better bad quarterback than Jackson Dart will be. But I also believe the roof is higher than Shedeur Sanders. I think there's a wider gap of possibility for Jackson Dart. I think he would be a worse bad quarterback, but I think he could be a better good quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. And if that is the case, honestly, the more I think about it, the more Jackson Dart might be the right pick if you are Joe Shane's throwing a Hail Mary here. If he doesn't get this year right, and I'm not saying win the Super Bowl, just show me that you're a playoff team. You've got the roster to be a playoff team. If he doesn't get this draft right and this season right, his job is out of whack. And if I've got to pick a first-round quarterback, available first-round quarterback, to throw a Hail Mary and connect my possible employment to, Zoe, I honestly think Jackson Dart might be that guy. That might be the play.
You know what? I kind of hope it happens because again, I want to see a lot of movement tonight. I want to see a lot of chaos. I want to see people having to make deals on the fly because their other deals fall through because chalk is just boring.
Listen, I've already said a couple of times, I don't think we're getting chalk tonight. I think tonight it has the potential to be one of the most chaotic first rounds we've ever seen. Honestly, I think multiple teams could be involved in multiple trades. I think tonight could be one of the most chaotic first nights of an NFL draft we have seen in a very long time. And then there's also the possibility that it doesn't, but you still see 5, 6 trades tonight. You could see multiple teams moving up and down tonight throughout the course of the evening. I don't know how many. I would not be shocked to see 4 or 5 trades tonight. I would not be shocked to see as many as 7 or 8 trades tonight. And the Giants could be at the core of multiple of them. I could see them making a trade back. I could see them making a couple of trades back and stockpiling. It just depends on how many teams have the same level of interest in Jackson Dart that I feel like I have right now. We will find out. We're going to talk more about this as the show rolls on. In fact, when we return here in just mere minutes from now, Hayton Ass Mario from the BetMGM Network is going to join us. We'll get his thoughts on the NFL draft and what we might see in the first round tonight. We will talk a little baseball, NBA playoffs, Fight Club in about 20 minutes and more. That's all coming up in the last hour. But before we get there, ladies and gentlemen, the reigning, defending, undisputed heavyweight champion of Sports Flashes, Lonzo.
I'll take that one. By the way, I didn't have my mic on, so that counts, and I'm self-reporting. Game number 2, win number 2 for the Hub City Spartanburgers over the Greenville Drive last night, finishing with the first ever walk-off win for the Burgers, 4-3. Starter Colton Curtis struck out 4 through 2, while Larson Kendrick fanned 4 of the 6 he faced to earn the win. Boston Celtics now lead the Orlando Magic 2-0 after a 109-100 win behind Jaylen Brown's 36 points, 10 rebound effort. The Celtics got 20 from Kristaps Porzingis, who added 10 boards as well, and 17 from Derek White. Kristaps got busted open too. The Cleveland Cavaliers now have a 2-0 series lead over the Miami Heat after a 121-112 win off of a 30-point game from Donovan Mitchell. Hour number 4 of the Rob Brown Show up next right here on The Fan Upstate. Wow. Maurice Claret. That's funny. Hey, Rob, if you can hear me, because I can't see you since you turned the camera off, going to do that thing with Mario. If not, I need a number or need to know if he's calling me.
We're gonna have to call Mario. Do we need to call Mario, or are we going to try the stream?
You were going to get him one earlier so that you could try,
And I didn't.
but you didn't do that, and it's like 58. And if I need to call him,
Yeah,
well,
let's just call him.
you don't want to just go stream? I mean,
Let's just call him. I don't want to risk the headache. Texting it to you. All right, step away. We'll get Mario lined up.
getting voicemail, by the way.
Mario.
We bring up the official sports voice of the Upstate Fan. The Fan.
Upstate.
An Odyssey sports station.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah, Rob.
Only on
The Fan. Upstate.
Okay. Yeah.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The final hour of the Rob Brown Show is live. Welcome back. Good to have you, Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. It is NFL Christmas. It is NFL Draft Day. Number 1, 32 picks upcoming this evening. Who will each team add with their first round selection? To talk about that and perhaps sprinkle in a little NBA on the side, the producer, the executive producer of BetMGM tonight, which you can hear on this and find Odyssey stations nationwide every evening from 7 to 11. And with a very special and, dare I say, very handsome celebrity guest host tomorrow evening. I'm not saying who it is, me, the executive producer of BetMGM tonight, the legendary hatin' Mario Herron, joining us here on the show via the wonders of telephones. Hello, Mario.
Hey, how are we doing, Rob Brown? It's an exciting day. It's NFL Draft Day, and I'd also like to state this and tell you, Rob, straight to your face, I did not watch WrestleMania, but I did hear it's a little bit of a letdown, and for that, I'd like to apologize.
I am going to tentatively forgive you, and this is where I'm going to wedge in what I have been trying to get done for a while now. That includes you, are throwing a Discord watch party, hating ass Mario. You are going to watch the next event with us. It is not a question mark. It is a statement of fact. You are going to watch the next one on Discord with us. You don't have to watch a moment of wrestling between here and there, but you have to watch the next show with us or else you catch no forgiveness.
I will try. As long as Travis Scott comes in there and does something with the belt and knocks some guy out, I think I'm interested.
All right, I got to jump in here because I got to jump in here because I've been sitting on some audio. I'm not gonna play it, but I've been sitting on some audio. So Mario's coming in and he's disparaging wrestling.
No.
Oh, okay, because I would hate to have to go back to your Patty take, and how you said he was going to lose and then he didn't, and I have your exact audio. I'm not gonna play it. I could get it. But you come in disparaging wrestling, that almost makes me want to be defensive.
You got me there. Good counter. That's a good counter. I thought we burned all audio of me of that, but you know what? Some lived on. So that's very, very fair point. I don't mind the wrestling.
As a fellow executive producer, we never burn audio. We always keep
never
that.
burn audio. Yeah, of course.
Listen, blackmail is real, is all I'm saying. Hating ass Mario joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, big dog, let's jump into some NFL draft talk. I was on Tuesday with you and the boys, and Brad and Ryan asked me what the biggest potential shock moment in round one might be. And I gave a couple. Shador potentially dropping out of the first round. I understand a lot of mocks have started to simulate that. I still think it would be a shock if it did happen. But I've got one more, and it's a little conspiracy theory-ish, Mario. Carson Shane, who is the son of Joe Shane, the Giants GM, the one who told him last year, draft Jaden Daniels, and then they didn't do that, and he won Rookie of the Year like Rob Brown said he would, posted a highlight video last night on Instagram of Jackson Dart, the quarterback from Ole Miss. Within a 10-minute span, he posted it, deleted it, and set his account to private. Here's my shock pick for the night. The Giants trade back to the middle of the first round. They get a treasure trove in return, and they draft Jackson Dart ahead of Shador Sanders. Crazy or possible?
So I'm actually with you on like half of that. Daryl Jeremiah also, when he did his final mock draft, had Jackson Dart going at 18, and the Giants kind of trade back into that first round in Seattle. I kind of lean, and we had Sean Marash on last night too, and he was telling us, he's like, look, I just got a lot of intel from some Giants sources, and the way he put it is the Giants are going bed tonight, not knowing who they're going to draft today. And that, another big thing he said was when the room is split, which it is, and it seems like the assistant GM, Joe Sheen, and then Brian Daboll all on different pages. When that comes to that, he said that's when the owner steps in and kind of makes the final decision. I think the owner is going to make a final decision, and that final decision is going to be Shador Sanders. So I think what happens here is I think the Giants do at 3 take Abdul Carter, and then I think they trade back in and get Shador Sanders. That's the route I think it goes in. The Dart thing, like, I don't know if I'm going to look too much into the kid doing that. Maybe the kid just really likes Jackson Dart and thinks he's really cool. He's at Ole Miss, he's with Lane Kiffin, and they kind of chip on his shoulder before they fell apart. We realized he had no mental, strong or attitude there. But I fail to believe that, and if they trade back in and, they have the choice between Sanders and Dart, why go with Dart? I will never understand that. It is, if you want to talk about audio poll, you can pull this because I think I'll be right. Jackson Dart gives me Will Levis vibes. And if you want to kind of, pin your wagon to that, go ahead. I don't know if that's going to work out for you. I think you're, going to be selling your house in a year. I really hope you're renting. I don't get it at all. So I think Shedeur Sanders they trade back in for. I think that's the most logical route. And maybe you stay there and still at number 30, you take Abdul Carter. And by the way, if they get Carter, if they do that, that's automatically what top 5 best defensive line in the league. That's a scary defensive front.
So it's not that the Giants, in your opinion, it's not that the Giants trade back to get Jackson Dart. It's you think they take Abdul Carter and then they trade up. Here's the other thing, and we were talking about this yesterday on the show. I think this is a hot seat year for Joe Schoen, right? Like if the Giants don't take a clear, obvious, and definite step forward, Joe Schoen's out of a gig. So you think he's willing to mortgage the future to end up with Abdul Carter, I think the best player of this draft, and get their quarterback in one season?
He is backed into a corner. He is on the ropes. He's swinging for his life. You know, we all saw Hard Knocks this past season. We know that the owner didn't want to let go of Saquon Barkley. He does. By the way, I will stand by that was a good decision. Saquon Barkley would have won you maybe one extra game this past season for the Giants. He would have done nothing for you. A running back is successful and is amazing on a team that's in a win-now mode. If you're not, then it's just a Lamborghini stuck in a crappy garage in Kokomo, Indiana. It makes no sense. So he's kind of in desperation mode. He wants to save his job. He wants to do anything he can to make sure that he's still employed by the New York Giants next season. A quarterback does that for you, especially if you nail it and you kind of get this right. And not to mention, Rob, imagine being that GM where they say this QB class sucks, where you just need to kind of wait for next year to kind of get your QB, and then you find the diamond. Like that is, you have what, 5 more years left on a deal after that? You get that right, you're able to nail that. So that's the direction I think he goes in. And also, I don't know if you guys know this, and let me be the first to tell you. You know what me and Joe have in common?
What, Mario?
We're both alum from the great and wonderful DePaul University.
Oh,
and we were in the same fraternity as well.
A little love for DePaul on the Rob Brown Show today. I've never seen you in a DePaul gear in your life, bud.
Well, I mean, it's with the W9L, so, but it's all player pack stuff from like when I played lacrosse there. And I had a realization about this time last year when I went to work out with one of my friends, and he said, "Hey, buddy, we're not in college anymore. It's time to throw away the player packs as workout clothes and kind of get some new stuff." And that's when I, finally threw it out.
Buddy, there it is. It's taken over. By the way,
No. Wait. Is this why you hate lacrosse? Because Mario played lacrosse?
Listen, I've hated lacrosse way before I hated Mario.
Okay. All right.
And but by the way, before I do wish you were on the stream, Mario, because before I let Mario sound like he's this super cool dude playing college lacrosse, this picture of a young Mario came across my Instagram not terribly long ago. So let's not sit here and pretend like Mario was an elite D1 athlete or anything.
Wait. There's a girl on each arm. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it was like his birthday. It was a moment of giving from those two young ladies, obviously.
Can I explain that situation?
Yeah, obviously. You don't have a choice.
So I was 15 years old, and there was a concert venue like right next, about 10 minutes away from my house. Yeah, I was 15 at the time. And all my friends decided to go to the concert. I think I was like my first time going to the concert, and I was up to, what a 15-year-old's up to at a concert. And my sister is I believe it's to the right of me, and she was there with her friend. And when I mean that they were probably drinking that morning until that night, they were. And she was like, "We have to find my little brother. You guys are going to think he's so cute." And so she comes up with her friends. By the way, at first I was like, I'm going to look like the man. I'm going to have some college girls talking to me. This is going to be cool. But then they got there and they were so obnoxious and so loud. I've never felt more embarrassed in my life. They walked up and they were screaming my name. They go, "Which girl's the one you like?" And point at all the girls that I went to school with. And I go, "Oh my gosh, I want this moment to end so fast." And yeah, she really embarrassed me that day. And she went up to all the girls. She went up to, I believe, a girl I was talking to at the time, and told her that I fart a lot. told her that don't worry, I will grow, which also hurt the ego insanely bad. And it was a tough day. I believe we got a kiss that night, so it didn't end up that bad.
Well, she also lied saying you would grow. Here we are. Hating ass Mario from the BetMGM Network joining us here, talking some NFL draft for another couple of minutes. What if you think there is a team that is going to walk away being disappointed tonight, who is it going to be? Because I the one I'm looking at right now is, speaking of teams from New York, the New York Football Jets. I've kind of been leaning on Tyler Warren's right there. You give Justin Fields a tight end, which can be a young quarterback's best friend, and I do consider Justin Fields still a young quarterback despite multiple seasons in the league. But I've also seen a lot of mocks that are looking at them going, not just offensive linemen, Mario, but like one of the clear second-tier offensive linemen inside of the top 10 picks. I know they need one of those guys, but I think Jets fans are going to be quite upset if they end up going with a second-tier offensive lineman inside the top 7 picks of the draft.
Yeah, I'm off with the Jets. I think just everything that's happened the past 2 years, you kind of go, we got to do anything we can to get our O-line back up and just give Fields time. Him under pressure is a nightmare, but if he gets time to throw and you kind of roll him out, he can actually be a dangerous quarterback and can do a lot of different things. So that is where I kind of think that it's not a sexy pick. It's not you wake up at WFAN in the morning and go, oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves a tackle. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really going to get the ratings up, or, you're pretty excited downstairs, but it's a move that makes sense. It's good long term. I think the team that's going to walk away pretty disappointed, and just going, I believe their fan base even more, is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. Because all this talk of like they get Shador or maybe they get Jackson Dart and get a quarterback with that first round pick, I also can see guys of them just going to edge rusher. If Stewart's there from Texas A&M, they take him, or if Grant falls, they take him, and the Steelers fan base is going, all right, so we're just going to really count on Aaron Rodgers to come back from his acid trip and say, I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler. That's what we're just really going to wait on. That's where I'd be kind of pissed off if I'm, a Pittsburgh guy. That's a team that's going to be walking away pretty upset. I also am still standing on the take that I think there's going to be more QBs taken on day 2 than day 1. I really, really do believe, Rob, that we're going to see 2 QBs off the board on day 1. I bet that. I will stand on that. And if it's, false, then this time next week, I will write a poem of my most embarrassing moments of my life. And that will be like, I don't know, I put that at number 12. I think I got 11 more that are worse than that, but it'd be up there.
Number 12, he says. No, I actually do agree with you. I mean, listen, Shador Sanders is coming off the board tonight. The question mark is he coming off at a shock pick at 3 to New York? Is he coming off to the Saints at number 9, which everything I've talked to my folks in New Orleans, they are now off of Shador Sanders? Is he coming off the board somewhere in the teens to a surprise team, or 21 to Pittsburgh? And then it's just, where does Jackson Dart fall in the middle of all that? And if this Giants thing turns out to be something more than we thought, that could end up being ahead of Shador. But I do not see a way that Shador Sanders is coming off the board any later than 21.
I'm with you. And by the way, just this kind of stinks for Shador because your range of picks is from 3 to 21.
Yeah.
That's such a wide range, man. That's such a long time to be sitting there going, I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen. But with the Giants, too, something to keep in mind if people didn't see this. This was reported by Adam Schefter earlier, and this was the exact quote that he was told by GM. It was that Joe Sheen lives in Boulder. That's how much research they have done on him. So to do all that research, man, to do all that prep, and then to go, we're going to go a different way with Jackson Dart, I think that's why I really don't buy any of the Dart rumors, just because of that. That to me is like, I don't understand them. What were you doing the whole time then, right? I feel like if you do that, from, a while ago that this was the right move and this is the direction we're going to go into.
We will find out. Hayton Ass Mario is the executive producer of BetMGM tonight. You will hear Ryan and Brad talking draft tonight from 7 to 11 p.m. on the BetMGM network. I will be in there tomorrow with Ryan Horvath, wrapping up round 1 and covering round 2 for you. Mario Heron from the BetMGM Network. Big Dog, enjoy the draft tonight, brother. I will talk to you tomorrow.
Enjoy as well. Be excited. And the Chicago Bears, I please to God get Tyler Warren or Ashton JP, make me excited.
Ooh, listen to Mario. He likes Lonzo's picks.
That Lonzo, that's where you're going? What Lonzo, who the Chiefs drafted?
Lonzo wants Ashton Janty in Carolina.
Really? I kind of like him, but that's okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say what I was saying is if he drops and he's there, Carolina needs to take him because he's definitely better than who they have right now. As far as the Chiefs go, offensive line, man, that's what you got to do.
I do agree. If Genty falls to you, I don't care who you have at number one. You kind of got to scrape the board and just kind of take him. I think that's the truest thing for 6 through. I mean, if he falls to 15, that's insanity. Like 6 through 15. If he's somehow there, then like you kind of have to take the board, throw it away, and just go with Genty.
We will find out how it plays out. Mario Heron from the BetMGM Network. He will be on tonight, 7 to 11 p.m. I'll be on with the boys tomorrow night at that same time slot. Big Dog, talk to you next week. Fella, appreciate it.
I'll see you next week. Love you, much appreciated. And WrestleMania, better bounce back. I'm being serious on this. If I'm going to watch this, I better get something good.
I mean, it's WrestleMania. It's even when it's bad, it's good. All right, when we come back, speaking of WrestleMania, Mario being an absolute pro doing the segue for us there. Next up, Fight Club, where we'll wrap up an incredible weekend and Monday night of wrestling with Lonzo next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Real sports talk, real sports fans.
The Fan Upstate
Is the sports voice of you, the Upstate fan. Call 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. The Fan Upstate.
I warned you. I got the new lawnmower yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yes, and my daughter is moving, so I went to help her build some stuff, and then I get a call saying, "Oh, it's coming early." So then I got stuck in construction thinking, okay, I'm not getting it. I'm not going to make it there in time. I pulled in, stopped, and then they pulled in. So good luck. And then I got it cut. And it's good having a mower that didn't stall 25 times while I was trying to cut the grass. And it looked really good. I got it done and got it back up to the house. Well, I did Cameron's lawn first. And then the rain came again. But still.
Well, if you want to practice with it, you can come do my yard because I don't want to.
It's got headlights. The last one didn't have those. I don't know that I'll need it.
Headlights.
Well, if I need to escape the compound on something that's motorized and I can't get to my car, at least it has headlights and rotating blades in case I need to run over whatever creature's chasing me.
Damn chupacabras.
They're out there, probably under my house.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart, I want to eat his children.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
All right, welcome into the Fight Club, where we're going to wrap up WrestleMania, as Rob said, but we're going to do something different. I didn't tell him because it's more fun this way. We're going to give, if we have time, each match a grade.
Let's go. I'm in.
All right. Let us start with night one, Gunther, friend of the show, and Jey Uso.
C-. It was what I was worried about with Jey. The match was okay. It's a championship match at WrestleMania. It can't be okay. It was okay. I'm not mad about the finish. Everybody seemed to be mad about the finish that Gunther tapped out to Clip. I wasn't. That is long-term storytelling if you followed the career of Buddy of the show, Gunther. But as a match, it was not the full speed accelerator off the gate first match I was hoping for. C-.
Not sure where they're going with the thing with McAfee and Cole, but that was still pretty cool. And the fact that kind of fed off of the fact that he tapped to that, going in and going after the announcers over mentioning that he taps to that all the time. I'm going to give it a C+, just because I think it could have been a little bit better. All right, the next match is El Grande Americano versus a substitute, Rey Fenix. Not a bad substitute to wrestle against. I don't know if the match would have been better with Rey Mysterio, because Phoenix is able to do some things that Mysterio can't do anymore because of age. I'm going to give this one a B+, almost an A.
I'll join you on that. I'll give that one a B+. And I also do have to point out that not only was it a substitution, Phoenix, for Mysterio, it was a substitution that happened less than 24 hours before the match happened. So it's not even like they had a ton of time to get ready to put on a banger. I thought for the time they had and the ability they had to put it together, two incredible luchadors, one with decades of history in El Grande Americano, making his, and the nerves on that guy to make his WrestleMania debut. This man has been roaming the territories for 20 plus years, making his WrestleMania debut, to go out there and throw that match up there and try to preserve the iconic history of luchador wrestling via his first ever WrestleMania match. I thought El Grande Americano was spectacular. But jokes aside, for what that match was and where it came from, I thought it was pretty good. I will give, as a match, if it was like a scheduled match, I'd have given it probably like a C+. But based on what the circumstances were getting into it, B+.
Yeah, not bad for two guys who've only been in the WWE for a very short time.
Exactly.
All right, the World Tag Team Championships, the War Raiders versus the New Day. What you got?
B-, C+, somewhere in that range. Like, it wasn't a bad match, especially for one that was kind of thrown together in that last week. I hated sending the War Raiders out in some goofy ass comic book video game outfits that like, just send them out as the War Raiders and let them have a go of it. But for kind of the similar situation with the last one, for the match that it was, for what it was supposed to be and how it was put together, I'll go B- for that one.
All right, you're disparaging of video games. Really irks me. That's like
not disparaging video games, disparaging the fact that you over promoted a goofy cell phone game to the point of taking away from the reigning tag team champions.
All right. Geared towards kids, and it was a good move on their part, incorporating rap, incorporating video games, incorporating all the things that they do. I'm going to give it a B, not a B minus, not a B plus, but a B. Good thing that the New Day's heel turn finally paid off and they got some gold again.
I'm good with that.
The next match, Jade Cargill versus Naomi. You knew how this was going to go, but I think Jade Cargill's getting better. I really do. So maybe the time off was spent at the training facility getting learning how to wrestle a little bit better. I'm gonna go. I hate to be that. You know what? I'm gonna go C plus because I think it should have been more brutal.
I agree. I agree. I think that it was the best match Jade Cargill has wrestled, tag team or solo. I think it's the best she's looked in the ring so far. I am going to give a ton of credit to Naomi because she looked like a good wrestler in this, and I think she deserves some credit for that. She clearly was ready as well. I would give a B to that one. I enjoyed that one quite a bit.
All right. Women's World Championship match between Tiffany Stratton and my friend Charlotte Flair. I just want to say Tiffany got her teeth flat out, nearly knocked out. I know and the dentists or whoever they have on staff to throw a veneer up on that after what happened. I mean, when they showed her, she looked like a totally different person. It looked like her front teeth didn't get knocked out, but they got shoved back. And as someone who's had that happen before, it's not a good feeling. And also when she was talking in the presser afterwards, you could tell she was not used to the to the teeth covers yet. But it was a really good match, but I felt for her when her teeth got jacked up.
My understanding, and I don't know this to be true or not, this is just the dirt sheet conversation. My understanding is that she already had the veneers got knocked loose. She had veneers in, and those veneers got knocked loose, which is why they look janky. And so basically they just had to either reapply or adjust the veneers that were already on there. Look, I ain't judging her for rocking veneers. So does everybody else. Have you seen Roman Reigns chompers? They look like a cartoon when he gives the big smile.
Well, when I was going to say really quick, when I interviewed Charlotte, she was saying how she had veneers because I think it was Becky Lynch knocked her front two teeth out.
Yeah. Listen,
with
I have
a bad kick or something.
I have been told before, like when I was working for TV news 7-8 years ago, whatever it was, when I was doing TV reporting, and my goal at the time was to be promoted up to news director of the TV channel. I got told by my boss at the time that because, I mean, look, it is what it is. I got some janky ass teeth. All right. Kids, if your parents are good enough and nice enough and fortunate enough, you're blessed enough to get braces and get them chompers straightened up a little bit, wear your gosh darned retainers. All right. Uncle Rob didn't wear his retainer, and now he's just having back to a janky ass smile.
I was going to say, I echo that because I had braces for 6 years. My teeth were perfectly straight. Yep. I lost my retainer because back then now they will install like retainers inside your mouth and leave them in there. So I lost mine and now my teeth are crooked again. So
yeah. I didn't have that option. And unfortunately, because of that, Rob Brown went to pre-braces, jacked up teeth. So anyway, when I was working the TV, my boss told me at one point, he was like, look, dude, if you're going to make it to that level, there is a chance you will either have to get, invisible braces or you will have to get veneers before we can get you into that role. And it's like, okay, that's understandable. So I'm not knocking her for that. As far as the match goes, honestly,
by the way, I just want to say I wasn't knocking her. I was saying I'm saying the fact that she was able to work through that. And I understand that pain. There's some pain that I see I don't entirely get. I'm glad I don't, but I understood that pain and the fact that she was able to work through it and it didn't stop her performance.
Yeah, no doubt. It sucks. I am going to go for the match itself. Honestly, I'm going to give that match I'll say A minus because I'm not going to lie. I fully expected Charlotte Flair to win the title. I fully expected to come in here and start talking about Charlotte Hogan, and I was going to be real upset about it. But it's not just the win, which I think was the right outcome there. I thought they put on a banger of a match. It was a better match than I expected. It was a solid give and take. It was compelling. There were a few good false finishes in it. I'll I'll go A- on it, to be honest with you. I thought it was a good match.
All right, I'm going to agree with you. And the thing is, was the beef real or not? There's been a lot of interviews and stuff afterwards where they're praising each other to a degree where it's almost uncomfortable. That makes you think it absolutely was real. I don't know if it was or not, but it definitely added to the match and made you think Charlotte was going to win, and she didn't. All right, and the final match, the main event on night one, Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Here's where we get the swerve. And I mean, we've all speculated pretty much that Seth Rollins was going to end up with either The Rock or with Paul Heyman, which he did. I'm only going to give us an A-, and here's the reason why. I would give it an A+, but Paul Heyman botched the shot on Roman. He did recover, though. Okay, so when he went up there, the chair was in the way, and he hit the chair. And because he hit the chair, and Paul Heyman being the pro he is, he decided to leave his hand in there and just jiggle it around. Because if he hadn't done that, he didn't actually hit him. If you watch it again, he hits the chair. So then he just leaves his hand up there and then shakes it back and forth so that the emphasis will be on what he was doing there. Paul Heyman, a pro in covering for a mistake, but he made the mistake, which makes it an A- for me.
I'm not listening. At the end of the day, a botch is a botch, and if you can work the botch into looking like it's just part of everything, I'm good with it. I thought it was great. Honestly, I thought it was A+. I thought the match absolutely slapped. It was exactly what I wanted out of three of the best in the business. This is the illustration of, even if the end is predictable, if you pull it off and make it entertaining, it can still be entertaining. Even if I see it coming a mile and a half away, if it is still compelling and entertaining, it can still be very good. I thought that it was A+ for that one.
Interested to see what they're going to do with all this. All right, night two, Randy Orton versus surprise guest Joe Hendry. And I mentioned this before. I got to mention it again. I don't couch pop often, but I saw the silhouette. I was like, who is that? And then you hear just the first couple of notes of the song, and Cameron and I, my son and I, were just jumping up, so excited that Joe Hendry was there. And it's not just about the catchy song and all that. Is if you know anything about his journey, what an amazing year Joe Hendry has had, and being able to come out there and go up against Randy Orton, and all you people, oh, you got squash, shut up. As he has said, he got to go out there against Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Who thought that was going to happen?
My dude quite literally memed his way into a WrestleMania match with a living icon. Memed his way into a match. I think that's incredible. And that to me is wrestling at its best. A+++++. It was incredible. And it's exactly what it needed to be. It was a spot filler. Hendry got to hit a couple of spots. You had an incredible Randy Orton moment with the RKO to the pose and then doing the pose himself. Everything about, I mean this. This is not me just like memeing for Joe Hendry. Everything about that match was perfect. Everything.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite match of both nights. And again, being a Joe Hendry fan adds to it, but knowing the whole story behind it. All right, AJ Styles versus Logan Paul, the kind of match we thought it was going to be. Whether you are like Rob and absolutely cannot stand Logan Paul, and there's a lot of you there, and I just don't know enough about the story, or do I care to know enough about why everyone hates him. I do know he can wrestle, and I thought it was a good match. I'm going to give it a B+, because it didn't have that big spot that he always, and that's the problem when you do a big.
My dude hit a springboard across the whole ass ring. Like,
yeah,
I didn't even like him, but I was like, God dang, that was good.
But he is taking on the Shane McMahon role, and you do some amazing things like jump off the top rope onto the desk while streaming. He did catch a drone, which is more about whoever was piloting the drone than it was him actually catching it. But yeah, I expected a little bit more danger, and I didn't see it, and that's the only thing about it I didn't like.
Honestly, like Alonzo correctly said, I can't stand Logan Paul, and I hope he goes away. That being said, the match was what I expected out of young high flyer with immense natural talent and a longtime seasoned traditional veteran like AJ Styles. I'll go B+.
All right, WWE Women's Tag Team Championship: Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Lyra Valkyria and surprise Becky. comes out, and so Becky decides to come back, and so Bailey gets removed so Becky can come back and Becky can do what she wants. Becky is the most the most privileged wrestler out there. She gets to do whatever she wants when she wants, and it's annoying. So
you're a Charlotte Flair fan.
Yeah, and she's earned everything she's got. Becky has not, and it's I can't believe you can't see it, and that's you're just enamored by.
Only one who feels that way.
No, I'm not. I've seen it on.
Person, just one.
All right, when we're done, I will send you a bunch of stuff. By the way, be prepared because I can just send you something like every 5 minutes if I need to. And we know I am relentless with that stuff. Even if it's the same one over and over again, I will just do it. You're enamored by her hair. You're enamored by her calling herself the man. And she's so privileged, it's ridiculous. And so they won. So whatever's below an F, that's what I'm giving.
Okay, let me start with this. The match wasn't good. I give it a D+. Becky was not ready. It was very clearly ring rust. She looked stiff. She looked slow. It was nowhere near anywhere close to what Becky Lynch was doing before she went away. That being said, being a Charlotte Flair fan, but calling Becky Lynch the most privileged in the game is on the top 10 ridiculous list you've put together. That's way towards the top.
No, it's not. And unlike some people, I don't go by what's popular. I go by what I feel. And I feel like Becky is overprivileged, and I'm not the only one. And I can't help it that we travel in different circles. Okay. I try to be a little more broad and go into all those. And anyway, I hope you get that I'm just playing.
Yes,
sort
I am well aware.
All right, Damian Priest, our friend Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. What a great match this was. I was surprised that Drew McIntyre won, but he did. I'm going to give this one a B. It's no holds barred. I thought there would be more. I know I'm Mr. There's too much blood, too much all this stuff, but in a match like this, build with hatred and everything, you think there'd be a little bit more.
I actually agree with that take. I don't think you hype it by putting the stipulation of no holds barred and then just kind of have. If that was a Monday Night Raw main event, I'd be like, damn, we got a treat. If that was a WrestleMania match, I'd be like, it's a pretty good match. But when you sell it as these two dudes are about to beat the ever-living hell out of each other, and then you give me a good, grueling, but pretty standard match, it is what it is. But no, I'm not surprised McIntyre. In fact, I called that shot. McIntyre had to win that match because they lost in that spot to Damian Priest. And honestly, Drew McIntyre is done. Like there's nothing that is threatening about him anymore. He had to win. I would say B- for that match.
All right, 3 more matches really quick. The last one we won't spend as much time on because we've already done that throughout the week. Intercontinental Championship match, Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio. Exactly what we thought would happen. We both predicted that Dominic was going to win. The one thing we didn't predict was the crowd being for Dom. That was a little bit, good for him. The fact that he took a curtain call. You didn't expect that. Run back to the ring to get some of the accolades from the fandom there. And the question is it just because it's in Vegas, or will he get more of that when they get outside of that state? I'm gonna give that an A. I thought that was a really good match.
The applause for Dom, I think, was one of those spots. We've talked about the fact that like kayfabe's kind of dead, right? There's elements of it that are still alive, but overall the concept is dead. I'll tell you why I think Dom received the applause. I think Dom received the applause because we all collectively boo his character so loud that the man can't get 2 sentences out during any promo he cuts. But on the flip side, an appreciation for the man playing Dominic Mysterio, right? The actor portraying the character Dominic Mysterio has done such an incredible job at being such a chicken bleep heel over the years. I honestly think we are currently giving flowers to Dominic Mysterio, the actor, for an incredible heel character. Because you'll remember, though, when the whole Dominic heel turn thing started, I couldn't stand him. I'm like, this guy's boring. He's bland. There's nothing to it. I don't have any reason to enjoy this. And now he's one of my favorite guys to show up on screen. I think he deserves flowers for the actor portraying the character, and I think he got it, and I think he deserved it. A- match.
Yeah, and not just there. The interviews he's been doing lately are very good. They really are. He's getting some good cuts in. All right, two more matches. Women's World Championship between Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. We both, I believe, predicted Io Sky winning this, and I thought it was a good match. I don't know what I was expecting something else, and I don't know what. So I'm going to go B+.
I'm good with that. I think we perhaps thought that there would be probably some more unhinged behavior, right? Kind of like the McIntyre
Damian Priest.
Yes, Damian Priest. I was about to say bisexual Undertaker match. I kind of thought we were going to see a little bit more unhinged behavior, a little bit more over the top behavior. But honestly, for what that match was and the setup and the time they gave for it, I thought it was pretty good. I would go probably B+, and I think that's a solid grade for it.
All right, and finally the last match, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. I'm just going to give you my grade. It's not going to be anywhere near what Rob's grade is. I'm going to go with a B. I'm glad The Rock wasn't there. I understood. Before The Rock went on McAfee and echoed exactly what I said, The Rock would have took away from the shine. Whether Travis Scott needed to be out there, maybe they should have changed that. Maybe it had been some other way of him cheating for a win. I get that whole take, but I don't think The Rock ever needed to be anywhere near it. But I'm going to give it a B just because John Cena can't wrestle. He is the greatest of all time, though.
Before you and a very small conglomeration of people bought into the Dwayne's PR spin because Dwayne couldn't be bothered. Again, not important enough for Dwayne to show up and take shine off, but important enough to send out Travis Scott. No. Dwayne coming out would have taken the shine off of John Cena. Dwayne interfering would have taken the shine off. Travis Scott, though, coming out and doing that exact same thing, that doesn't take stop it. Dwayne screwed up. They screwed up. They wasted one of the biggest heel turns in the history of the company. Straight up fail, in my ever so humble opinion.
Such a hater.
Don't buy Dwayne's PR spin, Lonzo. You're better than that. You don't even like Dwayne. Don't buy.
By the way, I said it before he did.
In fact,
so he took my spin. He took my spin.
For months now, he's been Dwayne, but all of a sudden he's The Rock to you again. I see through you, Lonzo.
Okay, I have no words. We need to go to break.
Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Dwayne.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash presented by Progressive.
If I said The Rock, it's because I was hurrying.
You said it twice.
I was trying to get through that because I knew how late we were going, and I would like to not get into trouble. But
you're part of Dwayne's machinations now.
Okay. Again, obviously he listens to the show. He heard my reasoning and went, you know what? That works. I'm going with that. "20 years from now, history will look at it and go, John Cena became the greatest champion of all time." They won't go, well, why wasn't The Rock there? Well, why was Travis Scott there? It'll just be that he won his 17th championship. Of course, by then, 20 years from now, there'll be someone else better, more than likely, or someone with more championships. Randy Orton will have surpassed him.
Say his name and he appears.
By the way, he was on NXT too.
Joe Hendry.
He was on NXT because Trick Williams was whining again to Obafemi, and he came out.
I saw that. That's
Did
awesome.
you? Yeah, that was really good.
That's awesome.
I wasn't sure about Obafemi at first, but he's showing more personality now, and I kind of like it. Yeah, James, but Randy Orton will have to carry the whole thing. There's going to be, I don't know. I did watch an interview where Joe Hendry said that even after Cena won the championship, he came backstage and saw him and just wanted to talk about him and not talk about the championship he had just won. So if he is that guy, which he seems to be, that's cool. Talking about Cena. And everyone seems to like Joe Hendry as far as all the wrestlers. I mean all their interviews talking about him. It's just, yeah.
Punch your ticket to the best local sports. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. Always streaming.
Hey, let's just go straight to Twitter.
Upstate.
Your guide to the gridiron, the maestro of the matchups, and the keeper of all things cool in the sports world. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Oh, yeah. Lonzo's here, too.
This is the Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. NFL Draft round number 1 is coming up this evening. We've given you some of our thoughts, picks, projections, selections, and more. And we'll continue to do so throughout tomorrow's show as we get set for round 2. But tonight, Cam Ward going number 1 overall. I gave you the rest of the mock earlier. We are going to find out where Carolina goes with that 8th spot. If the Giants do indeed trade down, it is going to be, I think, one of the fascinating and compelling round 1s in recent memory. And I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is one of those things that I try to watch live. That, I mean, you can look at your phone and go, okay, we went there. But tonight, I expect there to be something. So I'm definitely watching live. I probably will watch Rich Eisen mostly because I like Rich Eisen.
I'm probably likely to do the same thing. I will bounce around, like as picks come in, I'm gonna bounce around, just see who's talking about whom on what channel and all that. And then obviously it's also going to be dependent on what happens. Because I will tell you, this is something I've done the last 2 or 3 years. Great one sometimes is I will take the Odyssey app while I'm watching the draft. And as teams come on the board and make their selections, I'll actually tune into Odyssey stations in the city and just listen to whoever they have on the air locally at the time talking about that pick. I will check in and hear what the immediate reaction team to team is as well. But I'll be bouncing around coverage. But I will say this is one, it feels like to me, one of the most must-watch first rounds that we've had. A lot of them have felt very chalky. This one does not to me.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Here, Rich Eisen, Monday through Friday, 12 to 3, right here on the Fan Upstate. All right, the first thing that's Xing is Draymond Green.
Draymond Green is Xing because Draymond Green in the Warriors-Rockets games last night had an entire arena of people chanting, "Bleep you, Draymond," loudly, like on the TV speakers, loudly, like AEW at its drunkest, loudly, and it was hilarious. Draymond got to the postgame press conference, and they were like, "Yo, Draymond, how do you feel about them chanting, 'Bleep you, Draymond'?" And his response was an immediate and very dry, "Get something original," which I thought was a good fire back from Draymond.
All right, that's part of it. The other thing is he's being blamed for Jimmy Butler's injury, but if you watch the video, he did not shove that guy. That guy did that on his own.
No, you know, I am as down to blame the bad things in the world on Draymond Green as anybody else. I blame overpopulation and pet shelters on Draymond Green. This morning, I made some hash browns for my wife before she went to work. They came out of the air fryer burnt. Draymond's fault. I'm down for that, but that was not on Draymond. Basketball happens, dude.
Wow, is that why you were gone for a really long time?
Yeah,
At
I was
some
making
point?
the wife hash brown. The wife wanted hash brown. She gets hash browns. What do you want?
All right, all right. The next thing that's Xing is Mongo.
Steve Mongo McMichael passing away after a battle with Lou Gehrig's disease, the member of the 1985 Super Bowl champion Chicago Bears, and I believe this, Lonzo, the most underappreciated of the four horsemen of all time. Steve Mongo McMichael passing away. A dude that we have made, I cannot count how many references to on this radio program in years gone by. Steve Mongo McMichael, a Rob Brown Show icon, a pro wrestling icon, and oh yeah, a pretty damn good football player too.
You know, when he first started wrestling with the Horsemen, I'm like, is that Chicago? No, it can't be. This was before the internet, so it was harder to find that stuff out. And then it turned out it really was that guy, and it made so much sense that someone from the Bears, from that particular Bears team, was able, and full-on horseman. It wasn't like a celebrity coming in. I mean, he was a horseman for a while.
Yep.
All right. The next thing that's Xing is the Switch 2.
I don't know what's going on with the Switch 2. Obviously, when the initial round of tariffs put into place by Donald Trump went into play, considering a large chunk, if not most, if not all, of those parts that make up the Switch 2 are made in China, the price of the Switch 2 was expected to skyrocket, and it made the gamer community quite upset about the whole situation. But I have not seen any things since then, other than one of, I don't know if this is CBO, CFO, whoever, said that with the games for Switch 2 being $80 games, somebody said that when the first game, which I believe is a new Mario Kart, drops, they said you will see very quickly that these games are very worth $80. I don't know if that's why it's trending or not.
Well, it is Xing because of waiting lists. So a bunch of people, they just went on sale, and Best Buy only had so many to get. You had to wait to get on the list to get one. GameStop, all these others, and not really much different than when any console goes on sale, really. They make limited amounts of them, and it's hard to get on the list, and you're exclusive for a while till they make more.
Yeah, but I guess one of the other things is, and I think I saw somewhere, and I could be wrong about this, that because one of the big problems you have with new consoles is that you have scalpers who buy like 90 of them and then they just resell them for double the price or whatever. And I think if I recall correctly, I read somewhere, Alonzo, that Nintendo was putting some sort of authentication process into play so that scalpers couldn't do that. Like you can get in line and you can get one, and that's it. And we're going to identify who has them to make sure that people aren't buying them in bulk, which I think is awesome if they're doing.
All right, real quick on the stream, James says waiting hours for my pre-order to go through. Not recommended because he didn't get through.
How much is the console?
Oh, I forget. It's like $435 or something. I can't remember what it is, but it's about as much as you would pay for a console.
Yeah, but I mean, it acts as one, right? That's what's mine.
Yeah, it is. Definitely it is.
I've never had a Switch, so I don't know. Maybe we'll change that. That's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy night number 1 of the NFL draft. We will have full coverage of the first 32 picks tomorrow, and of course, preview for the weekend. Y'all have a great weekend. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. Thank you for listening. You're amazing. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later, buddy.
Get robbed! This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
You told them to have a great weekend. Does that mean you're not coming back tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, I forgot it's Friday. Or, I mean, it's Thursday. See, I even thought it was Friday there.
Yeah, it does. It feels like Friday. Look, James says $4.99, so I was off a little bit.
Well, that's with the
I was off by 50.
That's with the Mario Kart bundle. That's not.
Oh,
that's
okay.
what that first game included, which checks out. I mean, if it is that $440 or whatever, that makes sense. That's what it would be. So, got on the list, redirected to an empty cart hours later. Well, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. I don't know. I've never owned a Switch. I don't know. I don't know why it didn't, like, it's not that it doesn't appeal to me. It just didn't like jump off. Like even when the Switch was out and I wanted one, it was always like, I'd rather get a new Xbox before I get a Switch. But the wife, like, I'm trying to find more ways to subtly get the wife to play video games with me. And she actually loves Mario Kart. So I'm thinking maybe the Switch with Mario Kart, since it's got the 2 controllers, that might be the subtle manipulation I've been looking for.
or encouragement, not manipulation.
Yeah, that's
'cause that
what
was-
I meant.
yeah,
Subtle
yeah.
encouragement I've been looking for.
There we go.
All right, kids, that's it for us. Thanks for being here. You're all amazing people. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to get rich and retire. Come back tomorrow. We'll talk all the round one coverage and preview rounds, all the rest of them. Have a great one. No, what? We're not coming back tomorrow?
No, I was shaking my head at Steven
Oh,
because he's digging.